Woo, we got a heat wave, and there's going to be a heat wave in this courtroom. Already, Jules is on it. She goes, "Who has on pink? Raise your hand if you have on pink, pink toenail polish, pink lipstick." Shonda said, "I'm going to have to get me a badge reel for my name tag just to wear on Wednesdays." I can hook you up, girl. Hey, Bugs Mama. Meerkamp said toenails. Just Me has her own shirt. She does. I think she got it for her birthday 2 years ago. Look at this, Ange. She got on pink drawers. Oh my gosh. I've got on a pink t-shirt that says Okie Pride. Okie Pride. I should turn my camera on so you can see it. Bonnie has on pink fingernails. Baby Kisses, pink jammies. Well, we know who. Oh, KK, pink bracelet. V. Oakley's just thinking pink. There we go. Woo. Woo. Not expecting a big crowd today, and I'm going to explain why. Hold on. Guitar Man said, "I don't wear pink." Oh, we can hook you up. We can change your mind on that. Pretty Cesar One said pink toenails. That's right. Well, you don't have to have pink on to be part of the, Mean Girls Club. But let me just show you something real quick. All right. Obviously, this is Court TV. All right. I'm going to use their stream. I did not call to ask Vinny for permission. I didn't feel the need to since it's fair use. Look at everybody else. Fox, Associated Press, Law and Crime, and every local station in the Pacific Northwest is streaming this live. But of course, I wanted to watch it with my friends. Okay. So we know what today is. Let's first, I'm going to change it up. First, let's tell everyone hi. And to what do we owe the pleasure? Stephanie Murray, girl, where you been? And you got a membership yesterday, if I remember correctly. She said, yeah, I actually have a morning off and I can be in chat. Hello, gorgeous Brooks. We haven't seen Brooks in her bicycle shorts, her moose knuckles that are down there because they're real tight, and my pink shirt that says Okie Pride, and my hair all tied up on the top of my head. But thank you for the compliment. I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take it. And I hope everyone is doing great too. All right. So we got our hellos out of the way. And we're going to say hello to Mike.
Oh, guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Huh? Anybody? Julie, hey, guess what day it is? Oh, come on, I know you can hear me. Mike. What day is it, Mike? Leslie, guess what today is?
It's hump day.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Mike. And of course, we wear pink on Wednesdays.
It's adorable. So fetch. What is fetch? Oh, it's like slang from England. So if you're from Africa, why are you white? Oh my God, Karen, you can't just ask people why they're white. Could you give us some privacy for like 1 second? Yeah, sure. Okay, you should just know that we don't do this a lot, so this is like a really huge deal. We want to invite you to have lunch with us every day for the rest of the week. Oh, It's okay. Coolness. So we'll see you tomorrow. On Wednesdays, we wear pink. Oh my God.
Oh, yes, we do. And if you want your own We Wear Pink on Wednesdays t-shirt, ignore the model, okay? That happens to be me. Now, you're not going to get that shirt. I actually sprayed some Dove body spray on it and put it in an envelope and sent it to Susan. It's kind of like being blood sisters, you know? So you won't get that shirt, but give me your size. I'll send you an invoice and you can get it, okay? Remember, it's like Temu merchandise at Amazon prices. Just keep that in mind. That is my disclaimer. Mirror Camp, it's your 13th anniversary. Y'all, let's give a huge congratulations to Mirror Camp. Well, congratulations to you, Mirror Camp. You have a beautiful, beautiful family. Amanda Z is a new YouTube member. Oh my gosh. Stephanie Murray says, I still laugh so hard at that. Why you white? I know. OJ looks at me like that every day. Why you white? Why you white? Connie needs a shirt. You know how to find me. Just Me said nasty. But girl, it smelled good when you got it, okay? I hope you're washing it inside out on delicate and hang drying it. Like I said, you got a very delicate operation going on around here. All right. Yesterday, woohoo! The president weighed in on Truth Social. Brian Kohberger, who was responsible, there's no allegedly here, who was responsible in Idaho for the deaths of 4 wonderful young souls, has made a plea bargain deal in order to avoid the death penalty. These were vicious murders with so many questions left unanswered. While life imprisonment is tough, it's certainly better than receiving the death penalty. But, before sentencing, I hope the judge makes Kohberger at least a minimum explain why he did these horrible murders. There are no explanations. There is no nothing. People were shocked that he was able to plea, but the judge should make him explain what happened. I could not believe this. My goodness. Because I think a lot of people were shocked that he was actually able to plea. Considering all 4 families said they've seen, well, as much evidence as they're allowed to see, and hand to God, he did it. Wow. Kimberly Mann said, Mr. President, I'd love for you to weigh in on Summer and Sebastian, please. Yeah, you have a whole Department of Justice. Why don't you get on it? Get on it. And remember, this isn't about Trump, so if people want to make it political, I don't care about that. If you come in and you start running your mouth about Trump, you're going to get one of these, which is some of Kat's best work. And I look for any opportunity to use it because it's hilarious.
No, not you. Not you. Your organization's terrible. Your organization's terrible. Let's go. Go ahead. Quiet. Quiet. Go ahead. She's asking a question. Don't be rude. Don't be rude. Don't be rude. No, I'm not going to give you a question. I'm not going to give you a question. You are fake news.
Debbie said, I never really followed this very closely, but I did want to know why. Had a feeling it had some kind of experiment. According to Steve Goncalves, even though the DA said there was no sexual element, from everything he read, it did point to a sexual element. Yes. Just Me said permission to boot them. Let's all be friends and just watch everything today, because this has nothing to do with the president's opinion. Has nothing to do with his opinion. And whether you like him or hate him, I agree with his opinion. There probably should never have been a plea offered. He probably should have gotten death for taking these 4 lives. All right, so that was the big headline yesterday. We know what today's is going to be.
And here too, live now from Fox. I am Andy Mack. Ahead of the sentencing of Brian Kohberger after pleading guilty in the murder of the 4 University of Idaho students. Still, many people are asking what happened that fateful night in Moscow, Idaho, including the President of the United States, as he posted this on social media saying Brian Kohberger was responsible in Idaho for the deaths of those 4 wonderful young souls, has made a plea bargain in order to avoid the death penalty. These were vicious murders with so many questions left unanswered. While life imprisonment is tough, it's certainly better than receiving the death penalty. But before sentencing, I hope the judge makes Kohberger at minimum explain why he did these horrible murders. There's no explanations. There is nothing. People should be shocked as they were able to plea bargain, but the judge should make him explain exactly what happened. And I think a lot of people agree, or at least share that same sentiment. We're going to be joined right now by a legal analyst, friend of the program, Jack.
Man, this guy's about as good as a reporter as me. Hey, baby kisses. And you know, we always know where to pause. Look at his O-face. I feel bad for his girlfriend. I do.
Jacqueline Goodman, thank you so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox. Does the president have a point, and is there any possibility that the judge makes Kohberger explain why that happened?
Both sides of this issue probably would agree with some of what we're hearing from Donald Trump. The idea that someone doesn't get a right to have their trial is something that has plagued the community in the criminal defense world for quite a long time. We have a disappearing right to a trial. Very, very few cases, about 2% of all felony cases, 1% of misdemeanor charges ever get to a jury. And so with that is lost all the truth and all the sanitizing that comes out in those trials. We don't get to hear.
Well, hello, Deanne. Deanne said, I'm watching from Le Mans, France. Yes, everybody take a moment and please hit the thumbs up. It helps your old buddy Brooks out. I think a lot of people were really wanting to hear the evidence. I'm a lot of people. You're a lot of people. OJ's a lot of people. However, what they do in the legal world, they don't really give us a vote on. And if a majority of the victims' families say, that's fine, put him in there and throw away the key, then we have to live with it. As you know, Monday and Tuesday, we spoke about Stephen Stearns, and he pled guilty, well, no contest to murder, but he pled guilty to sexual battery because he's proud of it. So proud of it. And if you missed yesterday morning's show, you missed a lot, because True Crime Beat and her friend from the Osceola Gazette blew it out of the water. It was an amazing show. They were in court, had the bird's eye view. They did an amazing job. I just sat back and I had nothing to do. True Crime Beat doesn't probably even know that I was getting coffee and going to pee while she was doing the whole show. But that's a secret. Don't tell her. However, I still think Stephen Stearns should not ever been offered anything. I think he should be hung up by his toenails. And this one also, Kind of blows my mind that they went that way. Angela said he won't explain anything to anyone. I just bet y'all he doesn't see anything, especially knowing so many want to know. I'm on the fence with this. I think on one hand, he wants to brag about what he did. I do. Good morning, Marcia. Guitar Man wants him hung up by his nut. Brian Kohberger just has one nut? Really? That might be part of the problem. I didn't know that. True Crime Beat said he will do it in an interview. I think so too. I think he'll have old Diane Sawyer or Katie Couric. Hell, for all we know, JLR could show up and he could do it. Meerkamp said, a one-ball wonder. Wow. Huh. Like I said, that might be part of the problem. I did not know that. Huh. Got a lot of semen backed up then, don't you there, Bushy?
Hear about police misconduct, for example, and other issues that might go to the real truth of whether a person is guilty or innocent of those charges. And so both sides lament that vanishing right to a trial, and the potential for a much more serious sentence goes along with, in some ways, sort of a tool of coercion for a plea. Nevertheless, the question that the president raises about wanting to know about the motive for this killing, I think does really speak to the hearts of people that have been following this case for a long time. Why did he do it if he did it? What was going on in his mind? Because it's really hard to put together, and that's understandable. But I think that the prosecution and some of the families of the victims really understand that to ask that question, to put that out there, is to serve no purpose really other than public spectacle. And so I think that there's a reason why there's a split of opinion about what the president is saying. Plus,
there is a split of opinion by the people that are heavily involved, okay? The prosecution, with all the evidence they have and FBI behavioral science, I'm sure they have already put the puzzle together and they know his motive, okay? For one nut, they know one nut's motive. They're not expecting him to tell the truth anyway. Guitar Man, I meant his nut with 2 T's. So he's got an extra big nut as opposed to 2. I raised boys, but I just knew when the nuts dropped. That's all I knew. Okay. All right. So an extra big nut. All right. We got it. The families are split on this. The Chapin family is going to be fine not hearing his mouth. Okay. Xana's family wants to hear it. We know the Goncalves family wants to hear it.
it's generally not a great idea for someone with the bully pulpit to come out and speak on particular cases. And so, some view that as an encroachment on the independence of the judiciary. And that's why you rarely hear a president speak on it. But no surprise, this is a case that's been in the headlines. And, it's something that really does speak to the heart of people that are watching it. It really is a difficult thing to think about. And I understand why people are emotional about it.
Yeah, it's such a high-profile case that it raised to the level of President Trump paying attention. And like you mentioned,
If Trump was in here right now, that would be great. He would be on Truth Social right now on his golden toilet going, I just heard from Guitar Man at Crime Lines and Lies that Brian Kohberger only has one nut.
motive would be satisfactory for a lot of these families in the killing of those students.
And this bitch is crazy. The bully pulpit? Who's the bully? The man that confessed to murdering 4 kids? Or someone that's calling out that he should get the death penalty?
We talked about some of the plea deal and the lack thereof in terms of conditions. Is that normal to have some sort of conditions like they were in place for this Kohberger trial case?
You know, sometimes it really depends a lot on where you're practicing, what jurisdiction we're talking about. But typically there are things that are talked about before the case gets to the final agreement. These are negotiations that go on from the inception. So when you see some of the sort of, I don't want to say loose ends, but when there's really no major concessions on either side and it's a plea with an understanding of what the sentence is likely to be because there's not much else you can do, those are what we refer to as open pleas. Sometimes they take something like the death penalty off the table, but there's no other conditions to that. And that's not at all unusual in a case like this.
And of course, sentencing coming up here on Wednesday, expected to receive 4 consecutive life terms with no chance of parole, plus another.
That is what's expected. Consecutive, not concurrent. Chrissy, Holly said the same thing. We've got a very strange anatomy going on here, okay? He's got those satellite ears that kind of remind you of White Boy Radio. You know, the one that says Don Wells is as innocent as new fallen snow. But yeah, the guy has bushy eyebrows, 1 nut, and 3 nipples. Wow. That might be the motive.
Other 10 years. Walk us through it. What are the mechanisms? What happens on Wednesday?
So on Wednesday, he's going to be officially sentenced. That's when the judge is going to pronounce sentence. And that's really the end of the jurisdiction of that trial court. You know, notably, he has waived his right to appeal, but some legal scholars have said that you really cannot waive your right to appeal. And so you can still appeal that decision. But in any event, he will be sentenced. The family of...
We spoke about this on Monday. We spoke about this on Tuesday about Stephen Stearns. He will have 30 days to change his mind. Okay? That is basically just how they do it. He's not going to change his mind and say, now that I think about it, I want to go ahead and have y'all fly my entire family out from Pennsylvania. I want to watch my sister testify against me because I've got a real good feeling she's the one that turned me in. And I'm going to go ahead and take the firing squad. Won't happen. Just like Stephen Stearns. Yeah, he's got 30 days to change his mind. Like, you know, the lemon law when you get a used car. All right? But this isn't a car. This is someone's life. Old Stephen, who had a Woody talking about Madeline in court, talking about how much he enjoyed her, isn't going to change his mind and get the needle. No. Ignorance, well, they say ignorance is bliss, but I got another word for it.
The victims in this case will have an opportunity to speak and to be heard, but realistically, they're not likely to affect whether this plea goes forward the way we're anticipating that it will. So it's really this right to allocution, this right to get it off their chest, but it doesn't.
How many men do we have in here? Where's Paper Slut? Where's Virginia Woolf? I don't know if my husband's in here or not. Guitar Man, he's a man. How does it affect a man when you've got big ears, bushy eyebrows, and 1 nut? I'm just trying to play psychiatrist here for a little bit, okay? How does that affect? I mean, it doesn't affect OJ. He has none. You see, he was, you know, he's had that little operation where he can't breathe. That's why he gets mad. Okay, and the 3 nips. Yeah. And the 3 nips. I just need to know about this. That's why OJ gets really upset if he happens to see me and my husband doing the horizontal boogaloo, which y'all don't want to picture that. There's usually queso stains in the sheets and everything. Or if on TV, OJ just looks like, that was taken from me. Okay, this bitch is boring. Let me get to something else. All right. Here's Steve.
On his way to Idaho for the hearing tomorrow, where he will be making a statement as he faces the man who murdered his daughter. Joining me now is the father of Kaylee Goncalves, Steve Goncalves. Steve, I don't even know where to begin. You must have so many emotions.
Now, this is a game changer because this is Laura Trump talking to Steve. The hell is going on around here? These are some very high-powered people weighing in. No wonder Steve won't help me with my copyright strike against that asshole Nick in Spokane, Washington.
Going into tomorrow, but let me get your reaction to what you heard there from President Trump, that he believes that Kohberger should have to explain himself and why all of this happened. What do you think of that?
Well, the president is the art of the deal. He has a book on that. And I think that's exactly what our family felt like was we have one moment, one time to actually get this right, to set a statement and, get him to maybe show a little remorse, but beyond that, at least give us the facts of what happened, pin yourself down, say something.
All right, we're going to come back to that. Now I'm even more perplexed because the president weighed in and he has an attorney general, federal. He has a lot of tools in his toolbox. If he wanted, he could have them overturn this plea and force it to trial. Will he do it? Will they do it? Or just see if the judge does the right thing? I don't know. Never seen this one before. No. That must have been an extra long bowel movement.
And, get him to maybe show a little remorse, but beyond that, at least give us the facts of what happened, pin yourself down, say some kind of evidence that makes it very obvious that you are part of this case and you can back that up. And then, do the right thing. You're making a plea deal and you're making a deal. It's not like a plea demandment. You're doing a deal, so deal.
Yeah. Is that what you think the other families, would they like to hear from him as well? And have you talked with any of them about how everyone's feeling going into tomorrow?
I've talked with many of the family members. I'm actually with family members right now from Xana's family. So yeah, we all have the curiosity. We all have our limits of what we want to hear.
And there it is. We've had a falling out between the families, and I hate to hear that. Because one person can scream, but when you have all these families together, they could have all together made a collective decision and said, no, we want the trial. Because he said Xana's family. Because Madison's family says, fine. Ethan's family says, fine. So, of course, the prosecution is going to go with the easiest thing for them. I'm sorry to say they are. Hate to say it. Which is lock him up and throw away the key. And he'll be in jail 23 hours a day. He'll have an hour to smell the grass, get a sliver of soap, wash his ass, and go right back. He'll be in shackles the rest of his life.
Sure. But I know that we all want this to go away. And the easiest way for it to go away is if this person during his plea gives out information that only he would know. And then we don't have to play these conspiracy games. I mean, it's a deal. You've got to negotiate. And some people don't even understand the most simplest transactions. And I think that's become obvious And that's why they don't want the media, exposing a poorly brokered deal.
Wow. So it sounds like for you, this would be a moment of closure to confirm that indeed you know what happened to your daughter. And I imagine the other families probably feel that way. I understand, Steve, you are planning to speak tomorrow. Anything you can tell us about your statements tomorrow?
It won't just be me. It'll be my daughter and my sons.
Oh, so they all did decide to give victim impact statements. Y'all, this is the reason I had another show planned for today, but I didn't know how long the sentencing was going to take. And, Steve said that him and his family were never going to be back in that courtroom, but they said they're going to.
And my wife, we're really trying. My daughter and my sons and my wife, we're really trying to sit this through. And what Trump's already done has made a difference, because they came out and they told us some of the facts that they've been hiding from us. So we got to rewrite some of those statements to make sure that our last statements are the most accurate as they possibly can be. And that's what we were really going for. So we're rewriting those up. And tomorrow, stay tuned. You're going to hear directly from our family on how.
And we will. And we will. Johnny said, good morning, Miss Crime Lines and Lies. Well, good morning to you. Listening, I believe Brian might be a serial killer still. Well, he is a serial killer. He is. He killed 4 people. Killed them. Within 12 to 20 minutes. Yeah. And these families need this closure. If you can call it closure, they need it.
How we feel about this and what we think of him.
I think a lot of people are expecting that Kohberger receives 4 life sentences. Steve, is that enough for you? Is that enough for the families to make up for this?
No, you can't make up for my daughter with a loser's life, even if it's extended in adult care. She was a shining star, and he's not even close. He's not even in the ballpark of possibilities for us. So we can live with it. We want to move on. We can live with this. But again, we've always wanted what was best for our daughter. And we don't want to keep living this for the next 10, 15 years with conspiracies. So get it right. Hopefully he'll man up.
Okay. Steve has had a change of heart. They can live with this sentence. They can live with it. But they want the conspiracy theories. Speaking of the conspiracy theories, where are all those people that were busting my lady nuts? And yeah, I used to have 2 until they had to be surgically removed. Where are they that kept arguing with me about how he's innocent? He's saying they want him done. They want him over. They don't want any more of the conspiracy theories. Between that and the psychics, it causes a lot of pain and mental torture on these families when there's things that they can't say. Whether it be they were told, don't say anything, or we can't trust you, or if it's a gag order. In this case, it's a gag order, and they couldn't say anything about what they knew. But the people that keep saying, well, there's one that keeps saying Steve did it. Another one saying Xana's mom did it. We're still hearing about boyfriends, jealous girlfriends, drug debts, all this stuff. They want it to stop. They want it to stop. Because that's what he kept saying. He wanted everything in open court so people would stop with these conspiracy theories.
We've always wanted what was best for our daughter. And we don't want to keep living this for the next 10, 15 years with conspiracies. So get it right. Hopefully he'll man up and he'll give some explanations and doesn't just give one word answers to just get us out of that courtroom. You know, we've waited for 2.5 years. We dragged it to the other side of the state.
Okay, hold on. Johnny, Miss Crime Lines and Lies. I think he had a hand in 3 other murders. 3 murders hours away from his apartment in the town of a vegetarian restaurant. Did I spell that right? Not even close, Johnny. No, not even close. And see, this has been heavily investigated by many agencies for many years. So I'm just going to say, I think you picked the short straw on that one. Okay. Southern Shortcake said, don't say his name after this. Exactly. We don't want no Beetlejuice, do we?
We did everything for this case to be fair. And then they bailed out at the last minute. Nobody even wants to hold him accountable at all.
Real quickly, Steve, before we go, maybe you can tell us a little bit, just what you want the world to know about your daughter, Kaylee.
What I want the world to know is my daughter was just like any other guy's daughter. She's beautiful, loved, and fathers, we got to protect our girls. We got to go to bat for our girls and our sons, and we got to put our foot down. We can't crawl up in a ball and cry. I mean, that's something we can do for privately, but eventually we got to be the fathers and the mothers, and we got to stand forward and say enough. We got to protect our kids, and we're not going to take it anymore. We're not going to take this weak-minded, pathetic delivery of half justice in backroom plea deals. We got to do better than that.
Well, she's so lucky that she's got you still fighting for her, Steve. So Steve Goncalves, good luck tomorrow to you and all the families, and we appreciate you spending time with us today.
Thank you for your audience. I appreciate it.
Hey, Sean.
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Guitar Man said there's talk in other YouTube creators' channels. They think he might have had help in these killings. Well, where's their evidence? Are these psychic channels? Because these channels that don't follow the evidence, they cause a lot of harm to these families. But hey, what to do? All right, Nancy Grace, the queen of true crime. Like her or hate her, she has a lot. She has a lot to say. And she's saying it doesn't really matter if he says anything or not, because he's going to lie. He's going to lie like a dog. He's going to lie like a dog. They've had over 2.5 years. By now, they would know if somebody else was involved. But there's always going to be those people, okay? There's always, all I can do, and really all you can do, is listen to the evidence that they put out and accept the family's decisions. Because if the families see anything in all that paperwork suggesting someone else is involved, well, you know, Steve, for one, would be screaming from the mountaintop. Guitar Man said Prayer Garden is one of them. I did not know she was an investigator in Idaho. Really? Damn, PG. Nobody told me that. I have a whole new respect for her now. Hell, just last week she was accusing Hunter of killing Summer, and now she knows all about Brian Kohberger.
Big story we'll be watching coming up tomorrow when Brian Kohberger is set to come face-to-face with his victims' families at his sentencing hearing after pleading.
Okay, real quick, and I'm not trying to be petty. If we're talking about other creators in chat, all right, you can just say someone else or others, or you can send me an email so I can roll my eyes back and get a good laugh, okay? I made this for our girl Susan. How you like that? And no, nobody did anything wrong. It's just a friendly reminder because they get real mad at your old buddy Brooks. They do. Okay? They'll make a whole show, and that's called for them, in quotes, content, saying, Brooks thinks I work for Idaho, right? No, I don't. Susan loves when I use that.
Guilty to the 2022 murders of 4 University of Idaho students. He is expected to receive 4 consecutive life sentences for the heinous crime. Let's bring in Nancy Grace, the host of Crimes.
Guitar Man, you don't have to apologize. Does Prayer Garden know that Brian Kohberger has 1 nut and 3 nipples? Next time she covers Idaho 4, tell her.
Stories with Nancy Grace on Fox Nation. Nancy, great to see you. It has been a minute. Good to have you back with us.
Nice to see you, and I wish it was under better circumstances because I believe that the plea is a travesty.
Yeah.
At least.
Okay. Nancy Grace looks like she could spit nails. Okay? I'm talking like a nail gun. Boom, 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 boom. She looks like, well, she had some Botox done because you can see, and it hadn't settled yet, because you can see one cheek is higher than the other one, and she's super duper pissed. All right? She's super duper pissed. Now let's play bingo. How long is it going to take her to mention the twins?
For better circumstances because I believe that the plea is a travesty.
Yeah.
At least half of the parents, if not more, of these victims did not want this plea. And as they are preparing to go to court tomorrow to face their child's killer, they still don't know the facts, and they never will. Now, I know that President Trump, and I understand why he did it. I feel the same way. Is saying, Judge Hippler, make him explain why he did it. But under the plea deal, Kohberger doesn't have to speak. He has an opportunity to allocute or speak.
Yeah.
What?
I was going to say, I've known you for an awfully long time. And the one thing I've known about you is that you are always interested in the why, the pathology of this case. But as you point out, President Trump has said that the judge should probably ask Kohberger to explain why he did it. We don't know if the judge will do it. So the families of these victims and the public may never know why he took the lives of those 4 innocent young people.
I know where Trump's coming from. I get it. I want to know. Now, it took me about 5 years prosecuting nothing but violent felonies. And
okay. With Nancy, this is even better than talking about Top Mom, also known as Casey Anthony, or the twins, and horrible story when her fiance was murdered. She goes, I know where Trump's coming from. And I'm like, oh, what you doing rubbing elbows in the Oval Office? Damn, Nancy.
I know where Trump's coming.
We have a lot of deleted comments. And I don't know if we're making mistakes in here or what. Remember, there's only a few things that can be said. Well, we'll talk about that later. It's not a big deal.
Coming from. I get it. I want to know. Now, it took me about 5 years prosecuting nothing but violent felonies. And I would look over at the defendant in court, usually if the jury wasn't watching me, and think, why would you leave such a wake of pain behind you? Why? The state isn't required to prove motive, right? Finally, after about 5 years of doing this day after day after day, I decided, why ask why? He did it. That's what I need to know. But in this case, it's really hard to grapple with these facts of a stranger on stranger quadruple murder so meticulously planned. But I can tell you this much. Even if Trump got his way, and if I got my way, and we tried to make Kohberger allocute or speak, which we cannot force him to violate his right to remain silent, he would lie.
We'll come back to that. Holly said, I want a full facelift. Well, you don't need one. You're gorgeous. I do too. But you know, Nancy, have you noticed that her forehead gets bigger about every 5 years? And you can tell when she gets all that shit tucked back. You know how they do it, right? They cut across the scalp. You ever watch that show, Nip Tuck? You ever watch it? Yeah. Yeah. She's tighter than a virgin on prom night. Karen Sue, what time is a sentencing Eastern time? We're going to be watching it here in a second, Karen. Stick around. OJ, calm down.
You know, but in this case, it's really hard to grapple with these facts of a stranger on stranger quadruple murder so meticulously planned. But I can tell you this much. Even if Trump got his way, and if I got my way, and we tried to make Kohberger allocute or speak, which we cannot force him to violate his right to remain silent, he would lie. Seriously? Do you really think he's going to stand up in front of the parents and say, look, I had a freaky porn fetish where I raped young college girls that were asleep or drugged or tied up or passed out? You think he's going to say that? No, he would lie. That I would be willing to bet everything I have ever owned. He would lie about his motivation. So
I just wanted to put up on the screen what.
Okay, I agree with her. Because he has spent all this time getting his notoriety accomplished. He's got it. But he has enjoyed toying with the destruction he has caused. And what's going to happen if he lies in court? Guess what? Nothing.
President Trump said in part in his Truth Social post, he said, before sentencing, I hope the judge makes Kohberger at a minimum explain why he did these horrible murders. There are no explanations. There was no nothing. People were shocked that he was able to plea bargain, but the judge should make him explain what happened. The family of Kaylee Goncalves posted on Facebook that they were very appreciative of having the president's support. They wrote, quote, I definitely do not want to get into politics at all, so I hesitated even posting this, but wow, absolutely shocked.
Oh, I'd be shitting my britches. I would. I would be like, what on earth? The president weighed in? I would be beyond appreciative. Johnny said, just find it hard to believe that this was his first kill. It's too risky for him. I think it is his first. I'm being quite honest. I think it is his. And I just think it was so carefully calculated. But you know what he got? Sloppy. He was not expecting Kaylee in that room. I think Maddie, and please excuse my French, I think Maddie was going to be his one and done for that night.
Kaylee, Maddie, Xana, Ethan, you have always mattered so much. You are so loved, and your nature, your light, your entire being is so bright and visible. You guys did this. You guys deserve every last ounce of recognition for this. There's going to be victim impact statements. The judge has set aside all day for that. What do you expect we're going to hear tomorrow?
Well, just hearing that statement that was just posted to me is heartbreaking. To think that all they have left now is to advocate for their child at a murder sentencing. I expect, for number one, Goncalves to be very, very upset. He's been very vocal from the beginning, and I don't blame him. And it heartens me that anybody in our government, much less the president, for Pete's sake, cares about this case. I wish what Trump wanted, in this case anyway, could be true, but we are not going to be able to make Kohberger speak and violate his Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. And if he did speak, he would lie. That said, what's going to happen? Number one.
Why is Nancy trying to cry? Come on, Nancy. We get that you're fired up, okay? We get that you're fired up. But we don't need to turn on the waterworks. She could just be that emotional. Normally, she's just pissed. She's either a little pissed or very pissed. That's her nature.
One, the defendant will plead guilty. He will have a right to speak in court. Will he? When you don't know a horse, look at his track record. He sat there motionless, emotionless throughout all the proceedings. That's what I expect tomorrow. No flicker of emotion whatsoever. And you know what that tells me? That's probably the way he was the night he murdered these 4 beautiful University of Idaho students. Not a flicker of emotion. And I just want to point out one thing. According to Goncalves, they're going into this fight blind, by the way, because they don't know the truth, because there's not a trial. I don't know how they can even prepare to speak tomorrow, the victim impact statements, because they don't know the whole truth. That said, he has reported that he has learned that his daughter's mouth had been bruised or reddened to suggest she was quieted during her murder. Now, think about that. That's what the parents are thinking about as they go into this courtroom and look at a guy with absolutely no emotions. That's what's going to happen tomorrow. Kohberger's not going to speak, and the families are going to get their hearts broken all over again, and this ain't justice.
It's going to be
Oh, she's more educated than to say the word ain't. Now, Johnny said he looks like a 10-speed rider they was looking for on East Coast in another case. Just saying, don't time me out. You know, you're just about to piss off the Pope around here, Johnny. If you want to continue having conversations, then please do. But let's stick with the evidence. And please put your opinion in about the case at hand, okay? Because these girls are my friends. And, well, they're on edge too, Johnny. Don't worry, Johnny. You're in safe hands. We're not here to solve a crime, Johnny. All right. This is from News Nation. I certainly do not want to piss off Nick in Spokane, Washington from KXLY. That's very mad at me right now about something I shared in this case. So obviously this is from News Nation. I wasn't there. I didn't write it. I didn't record it. I am not Ashley Beigefield, and I'm not News Daddy.
Going to hear victims' impact statements from these families. What have you heard?
Yeah, it's interesting what you say, Ashley, though, about being able to come out. I went in with Mo, our photographer, who you know, and that's the first thing I said to him. I'm like, ooh, my God, I'm glad that we get to walk out at this place. I would never want to have to stay in here. We'll talk about that in a second. But in terms of the sentencing, tomorrow it's going to start 9 a.m. local time here. Expected to take the full day. Could go into Thursday, we're told. If they need more time, they're ready to go on Thursday, too. I'm told that the victim impact statements will happen first, so the family members will be able to get up, they'll be sworn in, and then they will be able to finally address the court about everything that they've been through. There's multiple family members for each victim. We know Ethan Chapin's family, of course, won't be here. They decided not to be there tomorrow. And then after that, I'm told, is when Kohberger would have the opportunity to speak. And the judge could ask him if he wants to speak. The judge could say that he wants him to speak. Ultimately, he doesn't have to, but we'll all be watching closely. I don't personally think he's going to, based on everything that we've seen, but you never know. I mean, tomorrow could be the day.
I don't know. Put a 1 in chat if you think he's going to speak. Put a 2 in if you think he's just going to keep it on the back burner and wait to have his shining moment, one-on-one, mano-a-mano with the media. Okay, just me thinks he's going to. Pat says 2. Chrissy says 2. True Crime Beat says 2. Rebecca Honeybun says 2. We have a lot of 222s. They don't think he's going to. Well, then, hell.
Well, I know one thing, and that is that Kaylee Goncalves' dad, Steve, said that he will be there, and he does plan to speak, as does his wife and their daughter, Olivia. Whether that plan has changed since last week, since he mentioned it, I don't know. But, you know, it's funny that you say we don't know whether Brian Kohberger is going to speak. By all accounts, our work, yours and mine, and everybody watching, and everybody who's investigated and been invested in this story for the sake of the 4 victims, by all accounts, Brian, he just seems like he is filled to the brim with ego. He just seems like he thinks he's better than all of us. And I would be shocked if he didn't want to do that last parting, you know, statement before he literally disappears into atrophy land. And we saw, you know, BTK, the BTK killer do that and talked and talked and talked and floored us all. How many people think that he just might decide to enthrall us all with what he thinks was his best work of his life?
Yeah, look, it's a good point that you say. I mean, they could never allow him to do an interview. He could just be in this prison in the middle of the desert. I mean, we're 30 minutes outside Boise to the south, just in the middle of the nowhere. He could just rot here for the rest of his life and never get to say a word. So maybe he will take the opportunity tomorrow. It's possible. You know, he's just been so quiet all along. And he clearly understands the process so well. I mean, he's getting his PhD in criminology, but, you know, the yes and no answers and just the total numbness about him, it's hard to imagine him suddenly getting emotional and deciding to speak. But it's certainly possible. I know that some of the victims' family members want to address him directly during their victim impact statement and have been told that that's not necessarily allowed, that they should address the judge. But at this point, I mean, they may just do what they want to do. I mean, if they look at him while they give their statement, what are they really going to do about it?
Well, I've been through a lot of these, and judges give a lot of latitude to these victims' family members because this is it. This is their only chance for true justice. They're not getting a trial. They're not getting satisfaction of at least knowing what happened to their kids. And so usually judges will go farther than you would imagine.
I see what she's saying, that they're never going to know, but they do know. They do know that Maddie was killed, stabbed to death. They know after that Kaylee was stabbed to death. They know that Xana was stabbed to death, and she fought back so hard that her fingers were separated from her hand. They know that from there. Ethan was stabbed to death. That's a lot of rage, my friends. That's a lot of adrenaline. That's a lot. That is a lot to even think about. So my question is, do they need more information than that? I don't know because I'm not them.
They'll have to haul it back, though, when things start to get heated, tense, and potentially break into violence. And that we've seen that happen, you know, too. And I always understand why. I understand why victims' family members just lose it and go after, you know, the convicts. But so let me ask you a little bit about the place behind you, because you were very lucky to get a chance to take a look inside. Very few people ever get a chance to see inside a jail, let alone a max prison. So, like, walk me through it. Tell me what you saw, what you learned.
Yeah, it was something. I mean, like I said, it's beyond the guard gate right there. You have to go way back. I mean, surrounded by multiple levels of barbed wire. You get buzzed in through multiple gates. They won't open one gate until you get to the next. Then they do a search, the metal detectors. Obviously, you can't bring your phones inside. We got the tour. We got the full tour. We were there for almost 2.5 hours, actually. We walked around the whole place. It's sterile. But there were some things surprised me how awful it was. Some things surprised me though. I was surprised some things that the prisoners do get to do that I wasn't expecting. Take a look. So this is the Idaho Maximum Security Institution. You can see the double barbed wire. This is where the most dangerous and violent people in Idaho are housed.
You look at something like this, and by the way, this is nothing, because I've seen this compared to McAllister, Oklahoma, where I'm telling you what, they have a conveyor belt of people coming through waiting to get the needle. Okay, I'm just letting you know. That's how they do it in McAllister, Oklahoma, how they do it in Oklahoma. Is it worth it for Bushy with 3 nipples and 1 nut? Is it worth it to him that this is where he's going to spend his life?
We're going to go inside with this tour. Very, very rare look at what it's like on the inside. This is the area of the prison where Brian Kohberger could end up. Long-term restrictive housing and what's known as closed custody, protective custody, where prisoners who could be hurt by the population go, or prisoners who could hurt others have to stay. The prisoners here are inside these cells 23 hours a day. All food and water is sent into the cells through these little doors. They can sit at these tables, but are secured to the tables with shackles, or put into these cages where they can use tablets for visitation. While we were watching, we saw inmates doing something called fishing, when they use strings from blankets or a t-shirt to send notes under the door. That's why these bean bags are placed at the foot of the door to stop them from doing it. Almost every inmate can buy a tablet to have in their cell for $100. It has music, email, and movies. And they can also buy a TV to keep in their cell, which has basic cable. This is the outdoor area where the prisoners can go 1 hour a day. Some have to stay in these cages because they are so dangerous. For prisoners who are in protective...
Did I hear that correctly? Basic cable? So when Lifetime does a movie, about the Erders, he's going to get to sit there and watch it? Because he has basic cable. TV and a tablet. Wow. Wow. Okay.
custody. They may also get time here in the library or the computer lab. Sexual offenders and murderers of young women and children can be shunned by the population here, which could be an issue for a high-profile inmate like Brian Kohberger. Though we're told after the newness wears off, most inmates begin to fit in. So, Ashley, they will do an evaluation of Kohberger after the sentencing, the Idaho prison system will, and then they will determine exactly where he'll go, although it appears this is really the only place. This is the only max prison. This is where the worst of the worst goes. And I was surprised, maybe I just didn't know this, I was surprised that every prisoner can buy a tablet for $100, that they can have all the time in their cell to email, listen to music, watch movies, and they can buy a TV here, and they get the TV in their cell all the time with basic cable. I just always assumed they had to go out and they got like 30 minutes of TV time, but that's not the case here.
Yeah, every place is a little different, and I think a lot of people are upset about the fact that prisoners are given all that, you know, lounge time in their cells with entertainment. I've also heard another story which is crazy, Brian, and that is that they're watching true crime. These are criminals who have committed true crime being entertained by shows about true crime, which is just sort of an irony that blows your mind. Talk to me about the death row inmates, though, because he was likely going to be one of them. Is he going to be housed near them? Will he be able to talk to them? Will he ever see them and think, well, I could have been you, but I'm here?
No, so they're kept totally separate. They're in the same prison. I think there's 8 of them who are here. I think that's the number they gave us. They're actually kept together, like in a pod together. So Brian Kohberger will not be associated with them. Really, I don't think he's going to be associated with much of anyone, at least to begin with. Eventually, it sounds like...
Uh-oh. No,
5 minutes.
close for him today. They turned it off. Yep. No suit today for him. You know why? Because he already pled guilty. He's not facing a jury of his peers. Susan said, how is that justice? I don't know. I'm not a taxpayer in Idaho. I think it's pretty nasty. Common Sense True Crime said he's like, can't wait to email my fans like Chris Watts. Yeah. Sitting up there in Wisconsin over and over and over. He gets bags of mail to this day. He does. It is sick. I mean, I guess the way they look at it is you know, keep them happy at all costs. I don't know. I really don't know. So they don't have to mess with them.
Are we ready? All right, thank you. All right, this is CR 0124316665, State of Idaho versus.
Britton said he needs to go directly into general population, in my opinion. Well, he'll be in his cell 23 hours a day. So he'll have an hour to smell the fresh air, check out the library. He can take a book back with him, watch a little bit of cable TV, unless he has it in his cell. I don't know. Thank you for being a member for 13 months. I don't really know if in Idaho they're allowed to have TV in their cell. I know some are. But he has to be on very, very, very good behavior, you know, tidy cell and the whole thing before he can go and mingle with his new buddies. And they're not going to do anything to him. I know a lot of people say, oh, he's going to get prison justice. He's going to get prison justice. Really, that happens when it's kind of a code of conduct with these freaks. It really, that goes down with pedophiles and who hurts kids. And I have no idea. Karen Sue wants to know if his parents are there. I don't know. They haven't panned the crowd yet.
Brian Kohberger, defendant, is present in custody with counsel, Ms. Taylor, Ms. Massoth, Ms. Barlow. The state is represented by Mr. Thompson, Ms. Jennings, Mr. Hurwitz, Mr. Nye, and Ms. Allen. This is the time set for sentencing in this case. The defendant previously entered a plea of guilty to 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of felony burglary. In exchange, the parties stipulated to recommend a sentence consisting of, on burglary, 10 years fixed, on each of the 4 counts of first-degree murder, life fixed. The parties waived pre-sentence investigation. To my understanding, neither party submitted a sentencing memorandum or other materials for the court. Court is familiar with the file and the evidence submitted previously by the parties as it has reviewed them throughout the case and in anticipation of trial. Is there any legal cause why sentence should not be imposed at this time?
No, Your Honor.
Does the state, before impact statements and arguments, wish to present evidence today?
Your Honor, the state does not intend to present evidence in a documentary sense. We have provided the court through the clerk with photographs that we would like to use during the course of our sentencing argument.
Sure. All right.
Thank you.
But no testimony other than impact statements?
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right. So with that, let's start with then impact statements.
Ms. Jennings will be introducing.
And my understanding, just so I'm clear, I indicated through the trial court administrator that we need to see if any of the victims wish to have the camera not running and audio only. And my understanding is all of them indicated they are fine with the video. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor, that's correct.
All right, very well. Go ahead, Ms. Jennings.
Your Honor, the first, and we're taking these in the order, victim impact statements in the order that the charges were listed in the indictment. The first charge being burglary. So we will have Bethany Funka's statement, and she has asked that her friend Emily Allant read that statement.
All right, any objection to that? All right, very well.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll be speaking on behalf of Bethany, and so, yeah, here it reads. My name is Bethany Funk, and I was roommates with Maddie, Kaylee, Xana, and Ethan. I not only lost some of my best friends, but I also lost a sister. Never in a million years would I have thought that something like this would have happened to my closest friends. I thought that we were going to wake up and go upstairs, see them and tell them how they had scared us and that they were going to tease us about how we were constantly scaredy cats and make jokes about it as we would go to Taco Bell like always. But sadly, that is not what happened and what turned out to be my worst nightmare. When I first woke up that morning, I had no idea what happened. I woke up around 7 with a terrible toothache. So I called my dad, who is a dentist, and he asked what I should do. He told me to take Advil, so I did, and I went back to sleep. I was still out of it and still didn't know what happened. If I had known, I of course would have called 911 right away. I still carry so much regret and guilt for not knowing what had happened and not calling right away, even though I understand it wouldn't have changed anything, not even if the paramedics had been right outside the door. I was so frantic that morning and scared to death, not knowing what had happened. And when I made the 911 call, I couldn't even get out the words. And from then on, I don't remember a thing. It was like my brain wiped that whole memory. That was the worst day of my life. And I know it always will be. While I was still in shock, trying to process the fact that my friends were truly gone, I had been attacked by the public. I was grieving, numb, and unsure of what had happened was even real. And at the same time, I was getting flooded with death threats and hateful messages from people who did not know me at all or know the dynamic of our friendship. Social media made it so much worse, and strangers made up stories to entertain themselves. The media harassed not just me, but also my family. People showed up at our house. They called my phone, my parents' phones, other family members' phones, and we were chased while I was still trying to survive emotionally and grieve the loss of my friends. I hated and still hate that they are gone, but for some reason, I am still here and I got to live. I still think about this every day. Why me? Why did I get to live and not them? For the longest time, I could not even look at their families without feeling sick with guilt. I did not know what to say or what to do. I was terrified that my presence just made their pain worse. And I was still here when their kid, their siblings and their friends, their loved ones should have been here instead. After everything happened, I was afraid to go into my own backyard or alone in my house. I was scared that the person who did this would come for me next. I was always scared that the media would try to catch me at any moment of any day, even when I was just walking around my house. I made my parents close all the blinds during the day so no one could see me even in the slightest chance. I barely left the house, and when I did, I made sure I was never alone. I slept in my parents' room for almost a year. I made them double lock every door, set an alarm, and still check everywhere in the room just in case someone was hiding. And I still check my room every night before, and I double lock it. I have not slept through a single night since this happened. I constantly wake up in panics, terrified. Someone is breaking in, or someone is here to hurt me, or I'm about to lose someone else that I love. The fear never really leaves. For a long time, I could barely get out of bed, but one day I realized I have to live for them. They did not get the chance to keep living, but I do, and I will not take that for granted. So now every day I remind myself to live for them, and everything I do it with them in mind. I am still scared to go out in public, but I force myself to do things because I know that they would want me to keep living my life to the fullest. I am beyond blessed to still be here, and I refuse to take that for granted when they did not get a chance. Our house was not just a house, it was a home. It was where we laughed till we couldn't breathe, make meals, did crafts, binge watch reality shows, played games, and spent lazy days on the couch. It was movie nights, wine nights, morning debriefs, pranks, hot chocolate, cookies, and warmth. I will cherish those memories forever, and I will not let what happened erase how special our home was or how much those memories meant to me. Now, I would like to share some bits and pieces of who they were as people and some of the memories that we shared. One of my favorite memories was Halloween, and we all went to Sigma Chi. But instead of partying, we just sat in an apartment, talking and laughing all night long. I do not think I've ever laughed that hard in my life. We did not care about the party. We were just happy to be with each other. Xana was 1 in a million. She was the life of the party. But she was also the kindest and funniest person I knew. Everyone loved her because she made everyone feel so loved. She was just someone you always wanted to be around, no matter the circumstance. One of my favorite days with Xana was when she laid on the couch, when we laid on the couch together all day watching movies and snacking. Or when she, Maddie, and I would go and get margaritas, chips, and salsa. She would also light up a room with her presence alone. Kaylee had the most beautiful, radiant smile, and she was so kind, but also one of the funniest people I've ever known. She loved playing little pranks. She always had us laughing so hard that we could not breathe. She was so full of energy and life. I really believe that she could have ruled the world if she wanted to, and she would have been America's sweetheart. Ethan was the sweetest, most genuine guy. He was always smiling and always making other people smile too. Ethan was the kind of person you wanted around. He was so kind and easy to talk to and just so fun. And the way he cared for Xana was truly something to admire. And really was proof that storybook love and true romances really do exist. It was not only obvious to me, but everyone that was around Ethan and Xana that they were absolute soulmates. Maddie was not only one of my best friends, but she was the older sister I would have always wanted. There was no one I looked up to or admired more than Maddie. She was truly a ray of sunshine, and everyone was drawn to her. She was so kind, loving, funny, fun, and passionate. She had the sweetest soul and wanted nothing but the best for everyone. and to love and show love to everyone. She took me under her wing and always made me feel so safe and included, and above all, loved and valued. She never failed to make me laugh or put a smile on my face. Still to this day, I am beyond grateful that she chose me to be her sorority little, and I thank God every day that I not only got to know her, but had her as one of my best friends. Honestly, I cannot pinpoint one favorite memory with Maddie because I have so many, and this would be a very long read if I did. But if some little memories with her that I cherish is when the two of us made a nice dinner and split some wine, or when we would binge watch Jersey Shore or Summer House. When we came up with a whole dance routine on Halloween and danced and sang all night, like no one was watching. All the late night walks home from going out, and just little shopping trips and so much more. I am beyond blessed that I had the chance to know each and every one of them. They changed my life in ways I would have never put into words. I hope that they are remembered for who they are and not what happened to them, because who they are were so beautiful, and they deserve to be remembered in the highest way. My heart breaks every time I go to text one of them or how badly I wish I could see and hang out with them. And then I remember I cannot. I will never be able to again. But I still talk to them in my prayers every single night, and I always will. I wish more than anything I could hug them one last time. And I wish I could tell them how much I love them. And even though I cannot, I still tell them every night. I will keep living for them as long as I am lucky enough to still be here. And they were all truly one of a kind, and they will be in our hearts forever and always.
Thank you. And please convey to Bethany my appreciation for her courage, and I hope that she heals.
Next is Dylan Mortensen. We're asking for some accommodations for Ms. Mortensen and that she be allowed to sit in my seat.
Sure. Dylan, just take your time, all right?
Thank you, Your Honor. What happened that night changed everything. Because of him, 4 beautiful, genuine, compassionate people were taken from this world for no reason. He didn't just take their lives. He took the light they carried into every room. He took away how they made everyone feel safe, loved, and full of joy. He took away the ability for me to tell them that I love them and that I'm so proud of them. He took away who they were becoming and the futures they were going to have. He took away birthdays, graduations, celebrations, and all the memories that we were supposed to make. All of it is gone. And all the people who loved them are just left to carry that weight forever. He didn't just take them from the world. He took them from me, my friends, my people who felt like my home, the people I looked up to and adored more than anyone. He took away my ability to trust the world around me. What he did shattered me in places I didn't know could break. I was barely 19 when he did this. We had just celebrated my birthday at the end of September. I should have been figuring out who I was. I should have been having the college experience and starting to establish my future. Instead, I was forced to learn how to survive the unimaginable. I couldn't be alone. I had to sleep in my mom's bed because I was too terrified to close my eyes. Terrified that if I blinked, someone might be there. I made escape plans everywhere I went. If something happens, how do I get out? What can I use to defend myself? Who can help? And then there are the panic attacks. The kind that slam into me like a tsunami out of nowhere. I can't breathe. I can't think. I can't stop shaking. All I can do is scream because the emotional pain and the grief is too much to handle. My chest feels like it's caving in. Sometimes I drop to the floor with my heart racing, convinced something is very wrong. It's far beyond anxiety. It's my body reliving everything over and over again. My nervous system never got the message that it is over, and it won't let me forget what he did to them. People call me strong. They say I'm a survivor, but they don't see what my new reality looks like. They don't see the panic attacks, the hypervigilance, the exhaustion, the way I scan every room I enter, the way I flinch at sudden sounds. They don't know how heavy it is to carry so much pain and still be expected to keep going, and that's because of him. He stole parts of me I may never get back. He took the version of me who didn't constantly ask, what if it happens again? What if next time I don't survive? He may have shattered parts of me, but I'm still putting myself back together. Piece by piece, I'm learning how to live in this new version of life. It is not easy. It hurts, but I'm still trying. Still trying, and I'm not trying just for me. I'm trying for them, my friends. About a year ago, I had a dream about them. I got to say goodbye. I told them I won't be able to see you again, so I need to tell you goodbye. They all kept asking why, and all I could say was, I can't tell you, but I have to. When I woke up, I felt shattered and heartbroken, but also strangely grateful. Like maybe in some way that dream gave us the goodbye we never got. Still, no dream can replace them, and no goodbye will ever feel finished. He is a hollow vessel, something less than human. A body without empathy, without remorse. He chose destruction. He chose evil. He feels nothing. He tried to take everything from me. My friends, my safety, my identity, my future. He took their lives, but I will continue trying to be like them, to make them proud. Living is how I honor them. Speaking today is to help me find some sort of justice for them. And I will never let him take that from me. He may have taken so much from me, but he will never get to take my voice. He will never take the memories I had with them. He will never erase the love we shared, the laughs we had, or the way they made me feel seen and whole. Those things are mine. They are sacred, and he will never touch them. I get to feel sadness. I get to feel rage. I get to feel joy even when it's hard. I get to feel love even when it hurts. I get to live. And while I will still live with this pain, at least I get to live my life. He will stay here, empty, forgotten, and powerless.
Dylan, thank you so much for your courage. I appreciate it.
Next, we have members from the
Let's take a deep breath. This is a lot. And boy, do I look like a sack full of assholes. This is what happens when you, by the way, this is being streamed from Court TV. I am not there in the courtroom. You can clearly see their watermark. I knew somebody had to hear something. Now, I did not think that the girls, Dylan and Bethany, were part of it. I had a feeling that people had been out partying the night before, but that doesn't equate to murder. And there isn't anybody in that courtroom, including the judge, that isn't trying to keep their composure. These girls are broken, okay? Between threats to them, threats to their family, their friends being murdered yards away from them. I can't see there's a dry eye in the house. And look at Bushy. He's looking straight down at the desk. Do you think he has one cell in his body that cares? Or he just doesn't want to face it? They'll never be the same again. And my speculation, not that I have a big channel or that they're worried about me, did not help. And for that, I will beat myself up for that for a long time.
The Madison Mogan family. First would be Scott Laramie, Madison Mogan's stepfather. Standing by him is Karen Laramie, Madison's mother.
Thank you, Your Honor. My name is Scott Laramie. I'm Maddie Mogan's stepfather and the husband of Maddie's mother, Karen Laramie. I will read this victim impact statement on behalf of Karen and myself. Maddie was our gift of life, our purpose, and our hope. Maddie quickly became Karen's joy, identity, and purpose in life. I joined Maddie's life when she was 2.5 years old. The experience transformed me into a life of joy, love, and family. Maddie was bright, beautiful, kind, empathic. She listened carefully to others and was observant, seeing and caring about the hearts and the minds of all she encountered. She loved music and music festivals. She had a wonderful sense of humor. She excelled in school. She was an easy child to raise, almost never requiring discipline, and almost always giving us parental joy. One time Karen remembers disciplining Maddie as a little girl. Maddie responded, "You broke my heart," which of course melted ours. She had a keen wit, even at that young age. As she transitioned into teenage years, she prioritized us and extended family over many of the distractions that capture teenagers. She showered us with her presence and love at family events, barbecues, picnics, birthdays, holidays, and others. She spent countless hours with her papa, her uncle David, Aunt Nadine, and her other close family and friends. This world was a better place with her in it. As she reached adulthood, Maddie applied her studies to be a marketing professional, entering into an internship at Payne West, and started planning her professional future. As with all things, She involved Karen and myself in the joy of her journey. As she transitioned into womanhood, Karen and I continued to be astounded at this wonderful and accomplished person we had created. All parents dream of their children accomplishing more than them. We realized this dream. All we had not become, she was becoming. Karen and I are ordinary people, but we lived extraordinary lives because we had Maddie. Maddie was taken senselessly and brutally in a sudden act of evil. She was taken along with the young, promising, and bright lives of Kaylee, Xana, and Ethan. First, we felt disbelief. Next, we felt disorientation. Then we felt grief overcome us. Our grief is compounded even more for the Goncalves, Kernodle, and Chapin families. We speak of hope and healing, and we do have hope and some healing. But the vast emotional wound will never fully heal. Since Maddie's loss, there's emptiness in our hearts, home, and family, an endless void. After losing her mother in a car crash, Karen took years to grieve and recover. The feeling that her life with Maddie and A was perfect helped her to start to heal. Now, this is no longer perfect. After Maddie's loss, Karen felt like she was spinning out, emotionally collapsing into anxiety and depression. She sometimes asks, how am I supposed to go on when I've lost my favorite person in the world? I felt the same, and we continue to struggle. The loss of Maddie has impacted so many beyond our family. Her second family is her sorority sisters who grieve alongside us. She has so many close friends who suffer from her loss. We will continue to be her loss will continue to be felt by the Vandal community, including Vandal Solutions on campus, where she volunteered her time for others. It helps us to know Maddie is in heaven now, freed from the trials of this earth. We, however, continue to live on without the grace and support of her presence. We will grow old without our only child, our bright, beautiful friend and daughter. In the end, there are no words that can accurately capture the devastation of losing Maddie. We will endure, and we will go on. For Maddie, we will not let our grief consume us. For Maddie, we will continue to love and care for our family and friends, including the families of Kaylee, Xana, and Ethan. We will remain united with them. We can only hope that others out there suffering similar losses can look to us and see that we can overcome hatred, darkness, and evil. We know the law allows us to comment on the defendant and his sentence. As for his sentence, we support the plea agreement. Society needs to be protected against this evil. As for the defendant, we will not waste the words, nor will we fall into hatred and bitterness. Evil has many faces, and we now know this, but evil does not deserve our time and attention. We are done being victims. We are taking back our lives. We will turn our time, talents, and attention to hope, healing, and helping others and to the future. We invite all those who have suffered with us on this to join us in our journey. We can make this world a better place. We can move on from tragedy. Adversity will visit us, evil will visit us, but we will overcome. We can and will endure. Karen and I express our gratitude to Your Honor and to the prosecution team for allowing us the opportunity to make this statement. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your courage, and I am so sorry for your loss. God bless you.
Your Honor.
Your Honor, this is Leander James. He's the attorney for the Mogan family and victim advocate. He'll be reading a statement for Karen Laramie.
May it please the court, counsel. My name is Leander James. I am the pro bono counsel for Karen and Scott Laramie. Karen has asked me to read this statement into the record. I thank my husband, Scott, for his statement, his courage, and his unending love and support during this dark time. While words are inadequate to capture the impact of this horrific crime on our family, he expressed it as best anyone could. For Maddie's sake, I will add my supplement statement that incorporates additional impact in the context of my extended family. I am grateful to Maddie's great uncle, Brian Caulfield, for assisting me with the difficult task of putting our pain into words. For me and my extended family, Maddie was our hope and our light. Her beauty, both outside and in, shone its light upon everyone with whom she came in contact. Her beauty, she carried that hope and light into the future for our entire family. We have memories of our Maddie and grief and pain at her being taken from our presence. Any one of us would have given our own light to have been outshone by hers. We now look to our Creator to know that her light continues where we look to see her in His presence. Those who commit evil for their own twisted gains and purposes truly defile the efforts and sacrifices of mothers, fathers, families, teachers, clergy, public servants, service members, and all those who commit themselves to the greater good, freedoms, and the future light of our nation. Condemnation falls heavily upon those who squandered the lives of our future hopes and dreams. Some may offer forgiveness for what the defendant has done. However, we cannot at this time, or perhaps ever, nor will we ask for mercy for what he has done. His acts are too heinous. The agony and grief he has caused, too great. But we will waste no further words or thoughts on him. For Maddie's sake, we will move on. We will do our best to carry Maddie's light into this world and make it a better place. I thank the court and the prosecution for allowing me the opportunity to make my statement. And I thank all those who have and will support my family and the families of Kaylee, Xana, and Ethan. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Laramie. Appreciate it.
Next is Ben Mogan, the father of Maddie Mogan.
Yes, of course.
Actually, Your Honor, it'll be Kim Cheeley, the grandmother of Maddie Mogan.
My name is Kim Cheeley. I was Maddie Mogan's paternal grandmother, as Ben Mogan, her father, is my son. I'm here today with my sister Lori Cheeley, Maddie's great aunt, and my son Ben Mogan, and my daughter-in-law Corey Hatrock. I'd like to begin by thanking a number of people involved in bringing this case to closure. In my daughter's words, the plea deal the prosecution team reached this month is one that punishes the perpetrator of this horrendous crime, protects the public from further harm, and allows all of us who knew and loved these kids the time to grieve without the anxiety of the long and gruesome trial, the years of appeals, and potential for mistrials along the way. My family and I are so grateful to Bill Thompson and his prosecution team for their dedication and painstaking work that forced the perpetrator to admit his guilt. We want to thank the Idaho State Police, the Moscow Police Department, the FBI, and Judge Hippler. We'd also like to thank the University of Idaho officials who have treated the families of the victims with such dignity and kindness, and who have honored the 4 victims beautifully. Maddie was my first grandchild, so when she was born, all her grandparents had the distinct pleasure of deciding what we'd like to be called. I chose Nana, pretty original. But when Maddie was about 1.5 years old, her papa, Ben's dad, and I were planning to visit the new little family in Oregon. Maddie didn't have an extensive vocabulary at the time, but for some unknown reason, she called bananas ba-deedle-deedles. When Karen and Ben told her Nana was coming to visit, she figured I say deedle-deedle for that word. So I became deedle-deedle, shortened to Deedle when she was about 6 or 7, and I was Deedle all her life. I don't think her stepdad, Scotty, ever knew my given name was Kim. Maddie's and my birthdays were 1 day apart, and a couple years before she was killed, she gave me this necklace with Deedle and Maddie engraved on it, and I added an angel wing, and it's one of my treasured possessions. I also got an angel wing tattoo, never thought I'd see the day, but along with many members of our family, replicating the one that Maddie and her sorority sisters had. I wanted mine where I could see and touch it often. From preschool through grade school, I stopped teaching piano lessons early on Wednesdays and picked Maddie up for bubble baths, brownies, and books. It was our special time together, and she went home those nights in her jammies with a pan of warm brownies for her family. Although Karen and Scotty raised Maddie and did such a lovely job of parenting, we Mogans were lucky to have her for holidays and many other family gatherings. We'll always have our treasured memories of Maddie growing up in our big extended cooperative family. And I thank Karen and Scotty Laramie for being so generous and open and sharing Maddie with her Mogan side of the family. When the 4 kids were murdered, the foundation fell out of our world. Initially, the fear was truly debilitating. The first 6 weeks were excruciating. Despite the vigils, memorials, candlelight gatherings of students, friends, family, community members. After the arrest, in the past 2.5 years, my family has lived with grief, with the effects of traumatic grief, of which I was blissfully unaware before all of this. I now have a stack of books on grief. I've attended grief classes at hospice. I've tried EMDR, a technique that helps replace disturbing visions with something more comforting. My son Ben, his 2 sisters, Maddie's aunts, and I have all experienced depression and anxiety and sleep disturbance, requiring medical intervention at times. We've all sought counseling off and on. The struggle with media attention was extremely difficult, especially for Ben. No one should live through the violent murder of one's child. Some days it's beyond me how the parents of these kids are still upright. I'm thankful for the strong families and communities that are supporting the survivors. At the time, I could think of only two blessings surrounding the horrific murders. One was that Ben was living with my partner Tom and me at the time, and that we could support each other emotionally through it all. Sadly, Tom died a year ago of a rare brain cancer, and he won't be here to see justice served. He was our family's rock, and we all miss him every day. A second blessing is that my mother died of COVID several months before the kids were killed, and she didn't have to live through the horror. It was difficult to identify blessings. So we've all lost our dear child and a future with her. I ache for the loss of the dreams that she and her true love, Jake, held. And my heart goes out to Karen and Scotty and your side of Maddie's family. You've had more than your share of loss. My heart aches for the kids' roommates and the families of the other victims, and also the family of the perpetrator. Going forward, we Mogans are choosing to put our energy and focus into honoring Maddie's too short life and sweet spirit by celebrating Maddie May Day, which my two daughters established. On May 25th each year, Maddie's birthday, we encourage folks to do random acts of kindness in Maddie's name. In my daughter Katie's words, may we all protect our peace in whatever way possible, unite in community, and focus on joy. Please do an act in kindness in Maddie's honor during this week, so a glimmer of Maddie's light may live on. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Appreciate your courage, and bless you and your family.
Thank you.
Now it's Ben Mogan, Maddie Mogan's father.
I'm Benjamin Mogan. I'm Maddie's dad. And first, I just want to say thanks to all the people that helped bring this all to a close. I know it's not the resolution that everyone, wanted, but I think that that everyone worked so hard, and we really appreciate all their efforts. It was such a hard thing to go through for everybody. Maddie was my only child that I ever had. She's the only great thing I ever really did, and the only thing I was really ever proud of. And I thought we would have the rest of our lives together to be together and know each other, and I took for granted the times, she was in college, and I thought, oh, well, we'll have the rest of our lives to just do all the stuff that we're supposed to do, and she was just about done. She actually earned all of her credits for her college degree, and Karen and Scotty and I got to go and get her diploma that she actually earned, and she deserved every bit of that. And but I thought that that was going to be just the beginning of a long life together, and we never got that. Karen and Scotty did such a great job raising her after Karen and I split up, and I'm so thankful for Scotty and the role that he played in her life when I wasn't able to. But we got to spend a lot of great times together, Maddie and I. She was my favorite person to go to a concert with. We got to see some fun shows together, and I told her, if there's ever a show that you want to go to, let me know, and I'll get you tickets for you and your friend, or if we want to go together, we'll make it happen. And my favorite memory with her was when the Mac Miller show sold out here in Spokane, and everyone wanted tickets, no one could get them, and on the last day before the show, they did a radio thing, and I got 4 meet and greet tickets for Maddie and her friends and me to go and see the show, and that was her favorite artist at the time, was Mac Miller, and he's gone now too, and my little cousin Zach drove us all there that night, and he's gone too, tragically. And anyway, the last thing that she ever wrote to me was this Father's Day card, and I'm so glad I still have it. I'm just going to read what she said. It says, "Happy Father's Day. I hope you have the best day. I can't wait till we can hang out again soon. I'll be in Coeur d'Alene, 624 to 74. Hopefully we can find a time then. I love your birthday card that you sent me, by the way. Maybe we can see a concert sometime soon. I'd love to see the gorge when it's not so smoky out. I hope you're doing well. I'm proud of how far you've come. Thank you for always encouraging me to do my best. Love you lots and lots. Love, Maddie May." She did encourage me to not just to do my best, but to live on. I went through a lot of issues with addiction and with substance abuse, and when I wasn't wanting to live anymore, she was what would keep me from just not caring anymore, and knowing that she was out there and that she was just such a beautiful person kept me alive a lot of rough moments, and I'm so glad that she was able to meet Jake. He was the only one that actually ever got to take her to the gorge. They went and saw Watershed together, and yeah, they had a heck of a time. So I'm glad she got to. That's a really special place for me, and she always wanted to work out there with me in the summer sometime. She never got to, but at least she got to see it once with Jake. He was such a great guy. He is such a great guy, and I really wanted to see what a future with them would have looked like. I'll never be able to replace her. I wrote a bunch of stuff. I just don't know what to say right now. I just miss her so much, and I just love her more than anything. And it shouldn't have happened. And a death sentence is one thing. You know when it's going to happen, and it's going to be all gentle and stuff. But life without parole, with a building full of people that all just want you to not be around anymore, winking at every morning, not knowing if that's the day they're going to pull your card. I mean, it's not a very nice sentence either. So, I don't know. I just love you, Maddie, and I wish you were still here.
Thank you so much.
Your Honor, next would be members from the Kaylee Goncalves family. First will be her father, Steve Goncalves.
Today, we are here to finish what you started. Today, you've lost control. Today, we are here to prove to the world that you picked the wrong families. The wrong state, the wrong police officers, the wrong community. You tried to break our community apart. You tried to plant fear. You tried to divide us. You failed. Instead, your actions have united everyone in their disgust for you. I just learned from these lead investigators, to their shock, they worked in an investigation and actually worked with Pennsylvania police officers and the federal FBI. You united everyone. Everyone was united after you. None of us are divided. We are united in our disgust and our love for these children. Today, you have no name. Because when this all started, we all came together and we said, let's stop even talking about his name and just use initials. So even the media just calls you BK. That's all you are. Looking back when the police officers knocked on my door, told me what happened to my child, told me what happened to Maddie Mae, I don't think he was even out of the driveway before my kids turned around, looked at me and said, what do we do, Dad? I told them, you get to work. You get your ass to work. And we started calling, we started texting, we started emailing. And you know what? Within hours, we had your white car on the camera. We knew from the very beginning we had you. Police officers tell us within minutes, they had your DNA, like a calling card. You were that careless, that foolish, that stupid. Master degree, you're a joke, complete joke. But we took this disaster and we did what we could. We put everything online. We took our kids, we took our images, we took everything that they did, their videos, their photos, the girls' pranks, Ethan singing. We put it out there, we shared it with the world. And the world united. And all they ended up, when they talked about this case, is they talked about Kaylee Jade, Maddie Mae, Xana, and Ethan. Everything what these people meant to us, a father, a mother, a brother, a sister, we shared that with our community. Then we shared it with our state. We shared it with the country. And eventually we shared it with the world. The world's watching because of the kids, not because of you. Nobody cares about you. You're not worth the time, the effort to be remembered. In time, you will be nothing but two initials forgotten to the wind. No visitors, nothing more than initials on an otherwise unmarked tombstone. From this moment, we've all started. From this moment, we will forget you. We want to all leave in closing. One last thing. You picked the wrong family, and we're laughing at you on your trip to the pen. That will be today or tomorrow. I'll close with, God bless all the men and women that worked on this case and all the hard work that you guys did. You guys allowed us to grieve and allowed us to get through this. The amount of work that you guys put together and the way that you guys put it together was beautiful. There was hard times to be expected, but thank you all. God bless.
Thank you.
Your Honor, next is Stephen Goncalves, Kaylee's brother.
Stephen's actually gonna pass. I'm gonna go.
Okay. Olivia Goncalves, Kaylee's sister.
Hello, I'd like to start by thanking the court for allowing me the time and opportunity to speak today. My name is Olivia, and I'm the big sister of Kaylee Goncalves, and I was blessed to love Madison Mogan as a sister too. I'm not here today to speak in grief. I'm here to speak in truth. Because the truth is, my sister Kaylee and her best friend Maddie were not yours to take. They were not yours to study, to stalk, or to silence. They were two pieces of a whole, the perfect yin and yang. They are everything that you could never be. Loved, accepted, vibrant, accomplished, brave, and powerful. Because the truth about Kaylee and Maddie is they would have been kind to you. If you had approached them in their everyday lives, they would have given you directions, thanked you for the compliment, or awkwardly giggled to make your own words less uncomfortable for you. In a world that rejected you, they would have shown mercy. Because the truth is, I'm angry. Every day I'm angry. I'm left shouting at the inside of my own head everything I wish I could say to you. The truth about me is when I heard the news, I didn't cry. I listened for them. I promised them I would, that I would fight for them, that I would show up no matter what it cost me. I swore I'd never let them feel alone. Because you see, I've always been their heavyweight. I've always been the one to fight the battles they didn't feel ready to fight themselves. All it ever took was a call, and they knew I would handle it for them, no matter the time, no matter the cost. They could wave their white flag because they knew I would never back down, not for them, and not even death could change that. Somewhere along the line, I started to think about what I would say to them if I was given just one last chance. If I could gather enough heartbreak or love or sacrifice or whatever it took to get just one message across, what would I say? Throughout this entire process, I've written my feelings down at every moment, my wishes, my love, my denial, my anger. And as one final act of love, I'd planned to read these thoughts, even jarring and discombobulating and not even making sense. Because for me, that was true love. As bare and as naked as it could be, not laced in pretty words or dressed for the occasion, but written through bleary eyes at 2 a.m. with clenched fists, angry at this reality. My true final act of love was to continue on without them, for them. That dream to read aloud my love to them, to bring meaning through pain, was the latest blow in realizing you don't deserve it. And Kaylee and Maddie don't need it. Kaylee and Maddie have always known my love, and they would never ask me to prove it by further victimizing myself to a defendant who has shown no guilt, no remorse, no apprehension. They would say to me, why would you give the satisfaction of showing vulnerability now? You promised you would never back down. And for that clarity, I'm thankful. I won't stand here and give you what you want. I won't offer you tears. I won't offer you trembling. Disappointments like you thrive on pain, on fear, and on the illusion of power. And I won't feed your beast. Instead, I will call you what you are: sociopath, psychopath, murderer. I will ask the questions that reverberate violently in my own head, so loudly that I can't think straight most any day. Some of these might be familiar, so sit up straight when I talk to you. How was your life right before you murdered my sisters? Did you prepare for the crime before leaving your apartment? Please detail what you were thinking and feeling at this time. Why did you choose my sisters? Before making your move, did you approach my sisters? Detail what you were thinking and feeling. Before leaving their home, is there anything else you did? How does it feel to know the only thing you failed more miserably at than being a murderer is trying to be a rapper? Did you recently start shaving or manually pulling out your eyebrows? Why November 13th? Did you truly think your Amazon purchase was untraceable because you used a gift card? How do you find it enjoyable to stargaze with such a severe case of visual snow? Where is the murder weapon? The clothes you wore that night? What did you bring into the house with you? What was the second weapon you used on Kaylee? What were Kaylee's last words? Please describe in detail the level of anxiety you must have felt when you heard the Bearcat pull up to your family home on December 30th, 2022. Which do you regret more? Returning to the crime scene 5 hours later, or never, ever going back to Moscow, not even once, after stalking them there for months? If you were really smart, do you think you'd be here right now? What's it like needing this much attention just to feel real? You're terrified of being ordinary, aren't you? Do you feel anything at all? Or are you exactly what you always feared? Nothing. If you're so powerful, then why are you still hiding, defendant? You see, I'm here today as me. But who are you? Let's try to take off your mask and see. You didn't create devastation. You revealed it in yourself. And that darkness you carry, that emptiness, you'll sit with it long after this is over. That is your sentence. And it was written on the wall long before you ever pled guilty. You didn't win. You just exposed yourself as the coward you are. You're a delusional, pathetic, hypochondriac loser who thought you were so much smarter than everybody else. Constantly scolding, turning your nose up to grammar mistakes, nitpicking and criticizing others. You wanted so badly to be different, to be special, to be better, to be deep, to be mysterious. You found yourself thinking you were better than everyone else, and you thought you could figure out the human psyche and see through it, all while tweaked out on heroin. Lurking in the shadows made you feel powerful because no one ever paid you any attention in the light. You thought you were exceptional, all because of a grade on a paper. You thought you were elite because your online IQ test from 2010 told you so. All of that effort just to seem important. It's desperate. There is a name for your condition, though. Your inflated ego just didn't allow you to see it. Wannabe. You act like no one could ever understand your mind, but the truth is you're basic. You're a textbook case of insecurity disguised as control. Your patterns are predictable. Your motives are shallow. You are not profound. You're pathetic. You aren't special or deep, not mysterious or exceptional. Don't ever get it twisted again. No one is scared of you today. No one is intimidated by you. No one is impressed by you. No one thinks that you are important. You orchestrated this like you thought you were God. Now look at you, begging a courtroom for scraps. You spent months preparing, and still all it took was my sister in a sheath. You work so hard to seem dangerous, but real control doesn't have to prove itself. The truth is, the scariest part about you is how painfully average you turned out to be. The truth is, you're as dumb as they come. Stupid, clumsy, slow, sloppy, weak, dirty. Let me be very clear. Don't ever try to convince yourself you mattered just because someone finally said your name out loud. I see through you. You want the truth? Here's the one you'll hate the most. If you hadn't attacked them in their sleep, in the middle of the night, like a pedophile, Kaylee would have kicked your fucking ass. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Christy Goncalves, Kaylee Goncalves' mother.
Thank you, Your Honor. I never imagined having to speak to someone so devoid of humanity. For a long time, I didn't think I'd find the words low enough to meet you where you are. But now I realize this isn't about you. It's about what you've done to me, and I need you to hear it. When you murdered my daughter, Kaylee Jade Goncalves, you didn't just take her life, you shattered others. You attacked what you could never be, and in doing so, you left a trail of devastation far beyond that house. You stole my peace. You've altered my every waking moment, every sleepless night, the way I view the world, people, safety, trust. It's all been changed by your cruelty. I no longer recognize parts of myself. Joy is harder to find. Laughter feels foreign. The world moves forward, but I'm suspended in a place of sorrow and rage. You've taken from me something that can never be restored. The grief sits with me every day, some days quietly, and other days so loud it drowns out everything else. The emotional toll you've inflicted on me is immeasurable. I live with a constant ache, with birthdays that are now memorials, with holidays that feel hollow, with empty chairs that scream louder than words ever could. I am forever changed. But for you, as a person working on a PhD in criminal justice, you really didn't think this one through. You're not that good. In fact, you're not that good at anything. You couldn't secure a job. You couldn't get along with others. You couldn't even get a female to look in your direction. All because you are pathetic. Now you're a joke in this courtroom. I wish I could crown you with a jester hat to complete your orange jumpsuit clown look. A dead killer doesn't kill again. So while I'm disappointed the firing squad won't get to take their shots at you, I'm confident that the men in prison will have their way with you in more ways than one. You will find.
Okay, disclaimer On YouTube, we can't say that. I just have to make it clear for YouTube, I'm not the one saying it. That's Steve Goncalves, and I totally agree with what she's saying.
Finally get what you wanted, physical touch. Just probably not how you were expecting it. See, you haven't beat the system. You've simply entered a new one, where the rules are cruel and the consequences will never end. You're entering a place where no one will care who you are and no one will ever respect you. You will be forgotten, discarded, used, and erased. You will always be remembered as a loser, an absolute failure. And when those prison doors slam shut behind you, I hope that sound echoes in your heart for the rest of your meaningless days. I hope it reminds you of what we all already know. You're nothing. May you continue to live your life in misery. You are officially the property of the state of Idaho, where your fellow inmates are anxiously awaiting your arrival. But it's okay, because they're there to help you. Hell will be waiting. Quick message from our youngest daughter. Aubrey wanted to say, you may have received A's in high school and college, but you're going to be getting big D's in prison.
Oh, hell no, she didn't. You may have gotten A's in college, but you're going to be getting big D's in prison. Damn! Look at him. Well, that's the closest he's gotten to sex, so hey, don't drop that sliver of soap.
Thank you. Do we have more from the Goncalves family, or are you?
Yes. Next would be Shannon Gray, the Goncalves family attorney. He'll be reading statements from Kaylee Goncalves' grandmothers.
Morning, Your Honor. Shannon Gray, the attorney for the Goncalves family. I actually have 3 statements, one from her aunt and 2 from her grandparents. This is from her aunt, Tammy Butts. You, in the cloak of darkness, made a decision to turn our whole family's world upside down forever. You, in the cloak of darkness, took our Kaylee J. Goncalves away from us all without hesitation. Never have you shown any remorse or regret. We just get creepy, non-expressive stares as you have your team of women defend you. Kaylee was a strong, kind, fun-loving, caring person, and she will greatly be missed by all her family and friends for the rest of our lives. She had goals in life that you took from her and us. We lose on watching her enjoying her life, working hard and building the future she wanted. She was ready to start that after college life. You, in the cloak of darkness, took it all away. You left us without her future wedding, her future children that she would have added to our family. No more talking to her on the phone, going for a coffee, celebrating holidays. It's all gone. You, in the cloak of darkness, gave each and every one of Kaylee's family members their own lifetime sentence. You, in the cloak of darkness, also took our Maddie Mae from all of us. She was so genuine, caring, polite. She was part of our family. You came in, harmed our children that were younger women than you in their own beds. You're nothing, you're a coward. It's not right that you have received life. I pray that you meet your end in the cloak of darkness, burn in hell. I have 2 other statements, Your Honor. This is Linda Lucan's statement. This is Kaylee's grandmother. I really don't know how to address something so inhumane, but I will try. Nothing in the past 2.5 years has made any sense. All I get is you cowardly went into a home at night, filled with what I'm sure you thought was all sleeping girls, and went on a vicious killing spree for no other reason but to appease your demonic urges. You took my granddaughter Kaylee from us, plus 3 other beautiful lives. You took my granddaughter Kaylee, beautiful, sweet-souled, doll-faced Kaylee, who was getting ready to start her amazing life, who had such a bright future, who was loved by so many, who you were so envious of. She had a life you could never have. You are so beyond human. You're definitely a demon from hell. I truly wish your punishment would be the same death you inflicted on our kids. But I think you will meet some new friends in prison who will be there just to help you. Thumbs up. And I have one last statement, Your Honor. This is from Cheryl Goncalves, Kaylee's other grandmother. John 1:5 says, light shines in the darkness, and the darkness overcomes it not. Somewhere in your life, some jealousy, envy, ego, something went dark. It pushed out all light until you became dark and evil. And when you saw my granddaughter and her friends, their light, because they have such a light, you couldn't stand it. Because the darkness in you could not stand the light in them. And so you decided to destroy it. Cowardly, you walked into their rooms in the dark and took their lives, hoping to get rid of your darkness. But you didn't. You failed. Because you know what was once a light shown only to their friends, families, and loved ones is now all over the world. Everyone sees it. Their smile, their beauty, their plans, everything they were and had. And you think you put a close to it, even that, but you didn't. Because they still exist. They are still light. They are still beautiful. You can never take that away. They will always be in the light of all eternity. And you will be in the darkness because you could not overcome it. You failed. I want you to be gone, more than gone. I want you to be cast out. Cast out from my life, from my family, from this earth. I will not allow your hatred to penetrate into my own soul. You did not get that power. You are evil, and in the end, evil is eradicated. You didn't take Kaylee's light, you spread it into the world. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right. If the are you moving to a different family now? All right, why don't we take a 10-minute recess? All right.
Well, what did you all think? I'm going to put the link up if anybody wants to talk, because I thought all these statements were extremely powerful. Extremely powerful. But when Olivia read her message to One Ball, I couldn't believe it. That was a lot. So it looks to me that they're going in the order that the kids were killed. Maddie, Kaylee, okay, they're done there. I think next will be Xana. Ethan's family, they'll have someone read a statement for them. They said they're not going to be there. I'm going to assume then we're getting to sentencing. Well, speaking of sentencing, not to change the subject, but yesterday, Ozzy Osbourne passed away. So I'm going to do a little music break. By the way, if I get shut down for it, then I'll start a new stream. I think we need a little deep breath, okay? And whether you like him or hate him, He gave us decades of entertainment. Hey, if this is tacky, please let me know. I'm just trying to take a break from everything we heard. I know some people are jumping out. They might think it's tacky. I'm not trying to be tacky. I'm not trying to be rude. You want to hear something weird? I was like yesterday years old when I found out that Ozzy is actually a very, very spiritual man. So people that have said for years he eats bats and fresh dubs for dinner and he's satanic were wrong. He actually, besides, well, everything else he was doing, he actually was really spiritual. Because I've been seeing these comments of people saying, well, he never gave his life to Jesus Christ. And I'm like, well, turns out he did. He was a big follower of the Church of England. Broken Gothal said he thought that was a rubber bat. Well, he found out later, didn't he? And he did. He was in a meeting with record executives, and when he was signing his new deal, he was going to release doves, and he bit the head off of one. So they don't really need to, not really a time to worry about that. Makes you wonder, I mean, how, people die of a broken heart. They do. People die of a broken heart. And her life was Ozzy. And I know the big question is constantly, well, where's he going to go? Now, I'm not sure if I should play this, but I mean, I believe his wife over anyone else because, well, she knew him and I didn't. All right, this is from Matt Powell. Don't know him. Good Lord, I hope I'm not made a fool of with this. I know that seems to be the big topic because everyone, not agreed. A lot of people thought he was satanic.
And I wanted to give a Christian response to his death. But first, I'd like to give condolences to the family of Ozzy and say that I am sorry for your loss. It's a terrible thing when a family member dies, right? And nobody likes to face death. I think that his death should be a reminder to us of how short life is. The Bible says life is but a vapor. You think of how vapors just vaporize, right? They come and go. People come and go. But the most important thing in life is eternity. I think of how Ozzy was very rich and famous, and he had just about everything that this world could offer you, right? But he passed away and he died. We die so quickly, and God has...
Well, like Holly said, only God knows the heart. All right? But there is such a thing as a judge and a jury that don't care about your heart. We're talking about meeting your maker. Which one are you going to meet? The Heavenly Father or hell? Which one are you going to meet? And we know that Sharon and the whole family are huge on social media. I just hope they don't keep hearing all this stuff from blue-haired ladies from, the 50s saying he's damned to hell for eating doves. I've seen some really stupid comments.
Created each of us with an eternal, immortal soul. And that soul that we have will spend eternity in one of two places, either with Jesus and with God or separated from God forever in a place called hell. When Jesus was on the earth, he was talking to others about the importance of eternity. And he made this statement. He said, "For what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul?" What Jesus is saying here is that if you have a lot of money and a lot of fame and you have everything going for you in this world, but then you die and you go to hell, that's not good. He said, what does it profit
Well, you can't buy your way into heaven, and God doesn't care about money, and you can't take a U-Haul with you. Okay, I don't care what you have. There's no U-Haul behind a hearse. That'd be something my dad would do. He'd be like, as you're dragging my hearse, put a U-Haul behind me, because the last check I write to my daughters is going to bounce. That would be something he would do. No, doesn't work that way. And there is well off, there is rich, and there is filthy rich. Ozzy, who did not care about money, was filthy rich. I'm talking dirty. I'm talking stink between your butt cheeks in August when your air conditioner's out. Filthy rich.
If you can gain this whole world, you could have everything your heart ever desired, and then you die and you lose your soul. You go to hell. That's a terrible thought. And let me say, this should be a reminder to us. The death of Ozzy should remind all of us that we do not have forever on this world. And God has given you this life to accept or reject the atonement that Jesus made on the cross for your sins. You see, Jesus loved us even though we were his enemies, and he died on an old rugged cross and took our sin debt upon him. The Bible says, for all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. God's glory is far beyond us, and we've fallen short. God loved us, and he didn't want us to go to hell. The Bible says that death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death. God doesn't want anybody to go there, so he sent Jesus to redeem us from the curse of the law, being sin, and he died in our place. Jesus loved us so much that he died for his enemies. Man, I can't imagine what it would be like to give my life for somebody that hates me. He cried out, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. There is such power in Christianity and in the death of Jesus. Through his death, we experience life. And 3 days after his body was put...
You know, I believe that too, Kathy. And listen, I'm not a big Ozzy Osbourne fan. Yes, I like his music, but I mean, I never exactly put his posters up. It was an act. It was an act. Kathy said, if you notice through the years, he always wore a cross, upright cross. Devil worshipers wear them upside down. She said, I'm 70. I believe his onstage persona was an act. He gave millions to help others. Yes, he did. Yeah, he did. Now, like I said, that's a great thing to do. That's very charitable, but you can't buy your way into heaven. But there is a huge thing going around about, well, since he was satanic, who said he was satanic? Okay, Matthew McConaughey played a demon in the movie Frailty. Does that mean if something happens to him, he's going to be cast to hell? Like Holly said, God knows your heart. It's an act. And the crazier it is, the more entertaining it is. And I think if anyone's watched YouTube for more than a minute, you know how that gets. You know how that gets. People will push every envelope to get attention. Jules says 100% an act. Did anybody ever go to Ozfest? I never went. You know, and his wife developed that to reinvent his career. And Parkinson's is no joke. My grandfather passed away from it, I think in 1998. It's really not something that anybody wants to suffer with, ever. Because when you get to the point that you're talking out one side of your mouth and you can't even hold a fork and you can't walk, I should have known. Pat K said only Black Sabbath. Pat K, I should have known. For all we know, Pat K could have been at the North Pole watching it. She's been everywhere. Angel P said it's a horrible disease. I just saw my grandfather struggle with it. And at that time, there wasn't anything they could do.
In the grave, he had risen again from the dead. And that's what authenticates Christianity, is the resurrection. If somebody could die and then come back to life 3 days later after being pronounced dead, that means that you should probably listen to what that person has to say. I bet you that person has some wisdom to share with the world. Jesus is the only person who had that power to be able to lay down his life and take it back. And that means that he truly is God. He has shown himself to be authentic. He's shown himself to be real. It's one of the most well-established facts of history that Jesus came to this earth, lived and died, and resurrected from the dead. It's literally one of the most verifiable things of the past. 98.9% of scholars believe in the existence of Jesus Christ. And so he's not a fairy tale. He's not just like Bugs Bunny or Elmer Fudd or one of the cartoon characters that you watch on TV. He was a real person that actually existed, and he is the great I am, and he is coming back again to get those of us who are saved and rapture us out of here in a twinkling of an eye. And it's an incredible thought to think that Jesus truly has authenticated the law and the prophets, and he is the...
Okay, we get it. Let's see. They're back.
And her voice will echo louder than this pain. You didn't take that from us, and you never will.
Thank you.
I just want to say before I start, I'm Xana's dad, Jeff Kernodle. It's been a hard road down, you know, because she's gone. And I want to thank everybody, other their families that's speaking so far, spoke about things. I agree with everything they have to say. It all comes back to a lot of the same things that I've had to deal with and we as a family have had to deal with. And that brings me, you know, basis of what I'm talking about a little bit is on my way up here, flying up here on the plane and about halfway through the flight, this little girl is calling out for her dad. Hey, dad. And then in my mind, I was kind of half asleep. It's dark on the plane. I heard Xana calling out for me like she did, you know, back when she was little, 5 years old. And those times were hard. It was chaotic, but we always had something to work toward that was in a positive direction, compared to right now, which is necessarily not as positive as that for sure. And I know I miss Xana a lot. My life's been changed, and Xana had a great impact on me. And the impact was when she was gone, I realized how important she was and what she really did for me, influenced me, was way beyond what I ever thought. She'd call me up on the weekends, check on me, see who's with me. She's like accountability to your youngest daughter. And that really made a big difference. It made me really think about things and what it's all about, you know? That's the things that I miss the most is those calls on the weekends, the calls at 11 at night. What's going on? You want to meet my friend? You know, whoever she's with, a couple of her friends, I meet them, talk to them. And she always did that. And it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. I really miss that. And she made a big impact on me, on other people, her family, but the impact that she made is so extensive on what happened here. And it goes so far. People from everywhere in the world, you know, are following things, and Xana has made a difference in their lives. So, you know, countless people told me that they might not even know her. They never knew anything about her. It's what they see, and they just love her and say how they wish she could have been their friend. You know, could have been their friend, could hung out, and it's like this is a blessing, you know. This is the little kid was, and definitely was a big, big blessing in my life. And so is Jasmine. And basically, you know, we worked hard to do the things we did, you know, through the times they were growing up. And through those times, I realized that I wanted both of them to graduate college, and that'd be the ultimate thing for them to do to prepare for the world. Then it came back to me. Xana didn't get to finish college. He had it all figured out. And this all came back to me when I was there and that little girl was on the plane doing that. It's like where I was going, what I was going here for. And then I just realized and thought to myself about the wonderful life that she had and we had together. And I still get to have with Jasmine, but that's the part that really counted. It's the part that really counted is those memories. And those are what I have left, the memories with her and the ones I can make with her and the life that I can go on with now, which is what she wants. And I say that in present tense because that's what she wants, because I've been told that, I've had countless ways that she's out there and has a way to communicate, which I'm very grateful for. That goes to say that the impact of what happened to them, all 4 kids, goes so much further than just not me, the parents, the families, the community. It goes so far because a lot of kids, in the colleges, just for an example, they lock their doors now. The door wasn't locked in the back. Penn State or wherever it was, all the colleges I know that I've heard, they all lock their doors now. So maybe the impact that it's going to make is going to help out and maybe protect some people. Having this outreach and having the influence of what these kids, what happened to these kids did, all I know is I was 7 miles away when it happened, and she wasn't feeling that good. It was 11:30. And I almost went over to Susanna's to say, and I would have been sitting right there in that couch, and you had to deal with me. So they would have had a chance. And I regret that. And I regret not going. But the reason why I didn't is because Susanna said, don't be drinking and driving. You got the rental car, don't be drinking and driving, the week before that. So she was, she would have been mad at me to do that. But I really wish I would have drunk and drove, because they would have had a chance, all 4 of them. At this point, I just have to go on. We're going to go on with everything and make things better in my life, because that's what it's all about. I have closure in things, and the part that we miss is Santa, her influence, her smile, the things that she did, and we have the memories left, the great memories, and she just wants us to make more memories and not be sad or upset or shocked or taken for that, and that's what we're going to do. We just have to. That's all I got.
Thank you.
It's a wonder Xana actually made it to college, about to graduate. It's the truth. Listen, I'm not shaming her daddy and I'm not shaming her mama. But he's sitting there admitting that he would have been there since she wasn't feeling good. And she might have said that just to get her daddy off the phone. Anyone ever said, I can't talk right now, I'm not feeling good? Anyone ever say, oh, I've got a headache, I'll call you back? That type of thing, but you don't want to ignore your daddy? But when she said, no, I don't want you to drink and drive. And he said, I was 7 miles away. First, I thought he said 7,000 miles away. So she's got 2 parents that have an issue. God bless her. Kohberger gets worse with every statement. He does.
For your words and your courage, and bless your family.
Next, Kim Kernodle would like to address the court.
Thank you, Your Honor. My name is Kim Kernodle. I am Xana's aunt. I was very blessed to have her in my life, in our family. And I thought I had everything in my head, what I wanted to say, but it kind of went out. And I'm always looking for the positive thing, because evil, hate can destroy people. And that's what it started doing with our family. It created anger with our family members. And then I had to look, because Xana was everything that the media, her friends said. She was that fun, loving, high-spirited, beautiful person. And I no longer get to get my nails done with her, have lunch with her. Sorry. But how I look at it now is this tragedy, this horrible tragedy on all of the 4 children, has brought us closer. You united us with your actions. We're united now, and we're stronger than ever. We have family and friends now that we never knew we had. And, you know, this is probably going to bother everybody, but Brian, I'm here today to tell you I have forgiven you, because I no longer could live with that hate in my heart. And for me to become a better person, I have forgiven you. And anytime you want to talk and tell me what happened, get my number. I'm here, no judgment, because I do have answers or questions that I want you to answer. And I'm here. I'll be that one that'll listen to you. Okay? Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you very much.
My name is Stratton Kernodle, and I'm Xana's uncle, Jeff's brother. Sitting here today listening to all the stories and feelings and feeling the pain from everybody is a pretty powerful thing. It's each time a statement was read, it sort of would tug into my center core as I felt everybody's anguish. And Xana meant a lot to us, and we loved her very much. But I started thinking about, instead of rehashing everything that everybody else has talked about, I wanted to direct it another direction toward Brian and what he's done to his family, his parents, his siblings, his friends, his universe. He has contaminated, tainted their family name, and pretty much made a horrible, miserable thing to be ever related to him. And I know that that's what he has to live with, and that has to be his pain. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Next, Your Honor, I believe Randy Davis, stepfather to Xana Kernodle, would like to address the court.
Hi, my name's Randy, stepdad of Xana. I just feel the same way we all do. All of us are united because of something that happened. And I'm grateful to know and have met some new family because of this awful event. But this is probably the last time we're all going to be in the same room together. Let's be real. So I can say, I love you all, and I feel your pain. And just God bless us all, you know, just get through it. I had stuff wrote up. It was probably best I didn't read it out. Probably get kicked out of here. So, you know, I'll share one thing to you guys, not to you, with Xana. So I was working in North Dakota and came home, and Jazzy and Xana had taken our son Elijah and put him in a dress, makeup, and it was awful, you know. I was like, I don't know. She was funny. I told her she'd be in the movies and be somebody great one day like that. And now she is just above us as an angel with all the other beautiful kids. So let's hold that to our hearts, because this evil thing is not going to take nothing from us. You, man, I don't know what my limits are here, but I'm really struggling, dude. I am struggling. So I want to just be out in the woods with you, just so I can teach you about loss and pain. I love God. I wouldn't take your life. That's up to him. But I guarantee you, you are weak. God, I would just give a moment, man, 5 minutes out in the woods. Oh, man. Ooh. You're going to go to hell. I know people believe in other stuff. You're evil. There's no place for you in heaven. You took our children. You are going to suffer, man. I'm shaking because I want to reach out to you, but I hope you feel my energy, okay? Go to hell.
Woo! They got that one, didn't they? Woo! And that's the stepdaddy. Remember, her mom's been in and out of jail and rehab. Xana has not seen the stepdaddy in who knows how long. Woo! I want to take you in the woods, teach you about life and death, teach you about grief, teach you about pain, teach you about ambushing people.
Next is Kara Northington, Xana's mother.
I'm Kara Northington. I am Xana Kernodle's mother. This letter is to you, really, but it's for my daughter, who was murdered by you. Today I stand before you, the man who is responsible for murdering my beautiful daughter, Xana Kernodle. My daughter was beautiful both inside and out. She possessed love for those around her and had a light so bright it will live on forever in our hearts. She brought joy and laughter to her friends, her family, and anyone in her presence. Our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, now has her in his loving arms in heaven, where she can never be harmed ever again for eternity. Because of her, I came to know my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Because of her, many will come to Christ. It is Christ who lives in me that has given me the strength to forgive you It was of no power of my own. In return, the Lord has filled me with joy, hope, and peace that surpasses all understanding. Jesus has allowed me to forgive you for murdering my daughter without you even being sorry or asking for this. This is only possible because he who lives in me is greater than any evil in this world. For God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. I do not fear you or even let you rent space in my head anymore. This forgiveness has released me from any and all evil you have inflicted on me and my family. It has allowed me to let our Lord deal with you. You have accepted a deal that will prevent you from receiving the death penalty. Nothing man can do to you can ever compare to the wrath of God.
Okay, I want to talk about this real quick. Jules just said, and I was just going to reply with a comment. She said, I'm proud of Kara. I am too, for multiple reasons. She has put on weight. She is not doing what she was doing before. I do not need to be graphic about it. Who could stay out of their addiction? Who could stay sober with what's going on? Her daughter was murdered, and she's got everybody and their dog talking about it. That strength, my friends, comes from God. Addictions come in all kinds of forms. It can be shopping, chocolate, alcohol, whatever. Cheeseburgers, having too many cats, which some days I think I have too many. Lying out your ass, cutting yourself. There's a lot of things. How she has gotten past this. Listen, that's God-given, my friends.
Inevitably, you will stand before our Lord and will have to answer to him over the sins you have committed in murdering our children. I pray you come to the end of yourself before that day. Whether you like it or not, heaven is for real and so is hell. The innocent life of Xana that you stole from myself and my family, and the destruction of this, and the destruction it has caused. I am washing my hands of you and turning you over to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, whom vengeance belongs to. In closing, I want to read a passage from the Bible, Ephesians 6, King James Version. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to withstand the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore, take unto you the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day, that ye may be able to stand in the evil day. I'm not going to share memories of Xana or any more of the goodness of her with you, because I do not want that to be in your head. I don't want it to be in your head. You don't deserve that. You don't deserve our good memories that we have. I do pray for you. I pray that you come to the end of yourself. I pray that before this life is over, that you ask our Lord and Savior in your heart and to forgive you. I do pray for that. But after today, I wash my hands of you, and you are no longer a thing. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't believe the state has any other victim impact statements.
Okay. Right, state can argue.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just as a housekeeping matter to start, there will be the issue of restitution. That is, the documentation is being gathered, and we ask the court would defer that for 30 days so we can present it in an orderly fashion and make sure it's comprehensive for everyone.
Any objection to leaving restitution open in 60 days? All right.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I told those idiots in the show on Monday about Stephen Stearns that even though it doesn't make any sense, even if you plead and you take your sentence, you still have 30 days to change your mind. Now, obviously, Idaho was going to give him 60 days. Where are the people that argue with me when I'm proven right? Can someone go find them? Dear Lord, was nobody else at Will Rogers Junior High in Claremore, Oklahoma in Miss Alton's class? He's not going to change his mind. That fuck don't want to die.
I think it's necessary and appropriate to share for everyone here, including the court, the background that brings us in front of Your Honor today for these proceedings. As the record reflects, and as everybody in this courtroom knows, the defendant has pleaded guilty to all 5 counts charged in the indictment. Under oath before Your Honor, he has admitted that the charges against him are true. He has reassured the court that he has not been coerced or threatened to make those admissions. And Your Honor did an extraordinary job in taking the pleas back on July 2nd. We appreciate the court's discipline and insight. The defendant has also waived appeal on the multitude of rulings from this court and Your Honor's predecessor in Latah County on dozens, literally dozens of motions seeking to dismiss the case, seeking to control or limit evidence, seeking to offer evidence that would not be appropriate. And we appreciate the court's consistent rulings based on the law, based on the facts. As Your Honor will recall, on June 18th, it's just really not that long ago, we appeared before this court for arguments on what became the defendant's final motions to this court. Motion where they wanted to offer evidence suggesting that other people were responsible for the defendant's actions, and the motion seeking essentially an indefinite continuance of the trial. It was readily apparent to all of us in the courtroom from Your Honor's comments that those motions were not going to be granted. So we returned to Moscow and continued with what we had been working on for months in preparation for trial. We had no qualms about going to trial if trial was what was necessary and appropriate. The following week after we were in court, we were approached by the defense with an inquiry about a possible plea. And I can tell the court this is the first suggestion ever that there was any consideration, because indeed the defense had maintained from the beginning that Mr. Kohberger, the defendant, was factually innocent. It's clear that the reality of the evidence and the case that had been investigated and prepared and that we were ready to present in court became a reality. Our reaction, among other things, was to reach out to all the families. And in fact, later that week, on Thursday and Friday of that last week of June, we met with representatives by teams, virtual meetings, with representatives of all the families. And we talked about the status of the case and the upcoming trial and things that related to the trial. And we also let them know that there had been an inquiry about whether there might be an offer for a plea. And we asked the family members for their thoughts and feelings. And they were candid. And they have been candid since, and we respect that. And we understand, recognize, and acknowledge that there was a difference of opinion among representatives of the different families. We understand that. One of the challenges of this case, one of the unique things about this case is we have multiple victims, each unique unto themselves, their families and friends unique unto themselves, and all of them entitled to their opinions, all of them entitled to their thoughts. Over the following weekend, our prosecution team, very skilled attorneys who were personally as well as professionally deeply invested in this case, met. And we talked, and the decision was reached. Well, to start with, were there to be any sort of plea offer or discussion, there's only one possibility. And that would be for the defendant to plead guilty straight up to all charges. There would be no bargaining about counts. There would be no bargaining about reduced sentences. And so we made the proposal to the defense that if the defendant was willing to plead guilty up front to all 5 counts as charged and waive appeal of the court's myriad decisions during the past 2.5+ years on all these motions that would have consumed years, if not decades, of time in the future. By the end of the weekend, we were notified the defendant was prepared to plead guilty as charged and factually acknowledge his responsibility in court for these horrible crimes. Obviously, those discussions and negotiations were confidential. And as Your Honor noted, I believe that was necessarily so, because if the defendant had decided not to plead guilty, it would have been devastating to our jury pool for there to be public information that there had been consideration by either party to a plea resolution. And protecting the prospective integrity of the trial after so many years was paramount. So, the end of the weekend came. We notified the victims' families of what had occurred. I recognize and acknowledge personally, and I respect the fact that of these fine, suffering people here, not everybody agreed with the decision we make. I accept that. It's my responsibility in the end. I recognize that that's the duty of the office that I hold. So now, it is time for the judicial system to impose final judgment and close the door on this chapter of these tragedies. As the court is aware, by the agreement of the parties, it is the state's prayer. Perhaps have the Elmo police turned on. Thank you. That on count one, the felony burglary, that the court sentenced the defendant to the maximum period of 10 years fixed in the custody of the Idaho Department of Correction. Then on count two, that the court sentenced the defendant to fixed life for the murder of Maddie Mogen. On count three, that the court sentenced the defendant to fixed life for the murder of Kaylee Goncalves. On count four, that the court sentenced the defendant to fixed life for the murder of Xana Kernhodel. On count five, that the court sentenced the defendant to fixed life for the murder of Ethan Chapin. And the state further prays that these sentences be ordered to run consecutively, back to back, not at the same time, to recognize and respect the unique individuality of each of these beautiful young people whose lives were taken brutally and for no reason. And hopefully now, as we have heard earlier this morning, it is time to afford the families and the friends and the community and the state of Idaho and the nation and the world to move forward. We can't undo, and we can never undo, the horror of what occurred on the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022 at 1122 King Street in Moscow, Idaho. For a long time, the presiding district judge in Latah County was John Stegner, who eventually became a member and a justice of the Idaho Supreme Court. And Justice Stegner often observed that even God cannot change the past. But everyone in this room has the ability to take themselves forward. And we want the judicial system to afford them the opportunity today to do that. From today forward, our memories should be focused on these innocent victims whose lives were taken, on their families, on their friends, on the community. The court has heard discussion, talk today, reminiscences today about a special family that our victims shared, not just their natural, legal, and biological families, not just their university family within their sororities, for example. But this family. This is the picture taken on November 12th, 2022, of the special family of 1122 King Road. And you can see all 6 of these dynamic, vibrant, loving, special, innocent faces taken together just across the street from their residence. And barely 12 hours before 4 of them would be brutally murdered in their sleep. They've been described consistently as being bright, caring, vivacious, with futures we can only imagine now. But they were, and they remain, a special family that I think we should all recognize and appreciate. So it's time to move forward. There have been a number of statements directed specifically at the defendant today. I have one last thought. After Your Honor imposes judgment and sentences the defendant to spend the rest of his life in prison, in other words, sentence the defendant to die in prison, he's going to stand up in the belly chains and leg irons that he's wearing today, and he's going to be escorted into the custody of the Idaho Department of Correction. And the door will close behind him forever. That is the closure that we seek, that all of these people, these loving friends and family deserve, so that we can move forward. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, does the defense have evidence to present today? All right. Does defense wish to make argument today?
Runner, we do not wish to make arguments. Mr. Kohberger, along with his legal team, is prepared for the court to enter judgment.
All right, Mr. Kohberger, you have an opportunity to make a statement if you wish to. I take it you are declining.
I respectfully decline.
Well, please.
He respectfully declines. I'm glad to be wrong. I thought he would try to follow in the footsteps of his heroes. You know, Ted Bundy, BTK, and he would love to dangle that carrot. We know it's not going to be true. I respectfully decline. You know why? I can tell you why. Because he got goaded yesterday. As we know, he hates Donald Trump. And when Donald Trump said the judge should make him speak, he honestly, in his mind, because he is one effed up individual, he honestly believes he's getting one over even on the president. Well, guess what? He's the one that's going to be behind bars. He's the one that's going to be in maximum security.
All right, let me start this morning by acknowledging and thanking those that have come here today in support of their loved ones. And I appreciate your courage and your strength. And I hope that you are able to move on as best as possible. Thank counsel for the professionalism that they've exhibited throughout this case.
Hey, Brian, where's the people that love you? Where's your mom? Where's your dad? Where's your sisters? Where's your friends? Where's those girls that you met on Tinder? Who's there for you? All you can do is sit there and lean up. Actually, he didn't even have to be here. He wanted to hear it. For him to sit up and say, I respectfully decline. No, Your Honor, I respectfully decline. Like your worst crime would be to be rude to the judge.
It's been my great honor to preside in this case and to help bring, to the extent possible, some resolution and hopefully justice to this case. During the quiet morning hours of November 13, 2022, a faceless coward breached the tranquility of 6 beautiful young people and senselessly slaughtered them, 4 of them. Who committed this unspeakable evil was unknown for several weeks, but due to the killer's incompetence and outstanding police work by numerous local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies, the person that slithered through that sliding glass door at 1122 King Road now stands before the world and this court unmasked. This unfathomable and senseless act of evil has caused immeasurable pain and loss. No parent should ever have to bury their child. This is the greatest tragedy that can be inflicted upon a person. Parents who took their children to college in a truck filled with moving boxes had to bring them home in hearses lined with coffins. The loss this killer inflicted was not just the death of these people's children, siblings, grandchildren, as we've heard today. It has ripped a hole in their soul, destroying a special part of their very essence. Any person who is a parent defines themselves foremost as such. It is their existence and purpose of being. And it has been stolen from these parents. None of us have experienced the loss these victims have in the unspeakable way that they have. And therefore, none of us can, nor should we, question the way in which they have handled their loss. Whether that be in private mourning, removed as far as possible from this media circus, or in front of a camera demanding retribution with the loudest megaphone. I've listened intently to the stories and pain that have been shared today, with great awe at the courage and resilience of the surviving family members of those wonderful children. I've listened also to the surviving roommates, both in person and through their friends. And I can't think of how, frankly, courageous they have been despite the hell that they have faced by uncaring people who have come up with all kinds of crazy theories about 2 kids simply being kids. The parents, siblings, and other family members who have spoken today are designated as victims in our legal system. But going forward, I hope that they can shed that label, as it gives too much power to the evil that condemned them to that role. They are and should be known as survivors, fighters, and foremost as witnesses to the tremendous lives of value and unbounded promise of these 4 young people. But those speaking today and those who did not speak, but who carry the same burden, this same loss, now carry forward the memories of these now perpetually young people, these forever children. These survivors carry the responsibility of ensuring that the voices of these children, Maddie, Kaylee, Xana, and Ethan, are never forgotten, and the positive impacts that they have had on so many lives are never minimized, and that the love they shared, the light that they shined onto others, is forever celebrated. As we sit here today, this case is ending, and we are now certain who committed these unspeakable acts of evil, but we don't know, and what we may never know is why. I share the desire expressed by others to understand the why, but upon reflection, it seems to me, and this is just my own opinion, that by continuing to focus on why, we continue to give Mr. Kohberger relevance. We give him agency and we give him power. The need to know what is inherently not understandable makes us dependent upon the defendant to provide us with a reason, and that gives him the spotlight, the attention, and the power he appears to crave. Yet even if I could force him to speak, which legally I cannot, how could anyone ever be assured that what he speaks is the truth? Do we really believe, after all of this, he's capable of speaking the truth or of giving up something of himself to help the very people whose lives he destroyed? Rather, I suspect the so-called self-serving and aggrandizing untruthful bits, leaving people wanting more information, more insight, and thus enhancing even further the power he seeks to hold. Even if we could get truthful insight into his why, I suspect it would not in any way quench one's thirst for actually understanding why in the first instance. Because there is no reason for these crimes that could approach anything resembling rationality. No conceivable reason could make any sense. And in the end, the more we struggle to seek explanation for the unexplainable, the more we try to extract a reason, the more power and control we give to him. In my view, the time has now come to end Mr. Kohberger's 15 minutes of fame. It's time that he be consigned to the ignominy and isolation of perpetual incarceration. I know there has been concern about him collaborating on books or movies or other media projects, and I truly hope that someone does not stoop to affording him this spotlight that he desires in the name of clicks, royalties, or profits. While criminal behavioralists should study him away from the spotlight in an attempt to prevent other would-be killers from acting on their worst impulses, there should be no need for that to spill over into the public eye. The great Idaho jurist Edward Lodge was known for trying to find something positive about every person he ever sentenced. And with over a half a century as a trial judge, that was a lot of people. This was often challenging, and I recall in one case he said that the best he could come up with was the defendant had good penmanship. Truth be told, I'm unable to come up with anything redeeming about Mr. Kohberger because his grotesque acts of evil have buried and hidden anything that might have been good or intrinsically human about him. His actions have made him the worst of the worst. Even in pleading guilty, he is giving nothing hinting of remorse or redemption, nothing suggesting even a recognition or understanding, let alone regret for the pain that he has caused. And therefore, I will not attempt to speak about him further, other than to simply sentence him so that he is forever removed from civilized society. And accordingly, based upon his conduct and based upon the record before this court, recognizing the standards that govern this court's sentencing decisions as set forth in State v. Toohill, I hereby sentence Mr. Kohberger as follows. On count 1, burglary, 10 years fixed, 0 years indeterminate. I also impose a fine of $50,000. Count 2, first-degree murder of Madison Mogan. I sentence the defendant to a fixed term of life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, a fine of $50,000, and a civil penalty of $5,000 payable to the family of the victim. On count 3, For first-degree murder of Kaylee Goncalves, I sentence the defendant to a fixed term of life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, a fine of $50,000, and a civil penalty of $5,000 payable to the victim of the family, or to the family of the victim, pardon me. On count 4, for the first-degree murder of Xana Kernodle, I sentence the defendant to a fixed term of life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, a fine of $50,000, and a civil penalty of $5,000 payable to the family of the victim. On count 5, for the first-degree murder of Ethan Chapin, I sentence the defendant to a fixed term of life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, a fine of $50,000, and a civil penalty of $5,000 payable to the family of the victim. The sentences on counts 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 shall run consecutively to one another. Restitution will be left open for 60 days. Defendant will be required to submit a DNA sample and a right thumbprint impression to the Department of Corrections and comply with the DNA Database Act. I remand the defendant to the custody of the Idaho State Board of Corrections for to be imprisoned in an appropriate facility and execution of the sentence where he will remain until he dies. Though you have waived your right to appeal, you do have a right to file a notice of appeal, and any such appeal must be filed within 42 days of the date of the written judgment, which will be entered shortly hereafter. Though the appeal, you should be aware, may be deemed a violation of the plea agreement, and so I certainly suggest you discuss that with counsel if that is your desire. I ask the media and public present to allow the families to be escorted out first before they leave. Again, thank you to everyone for your stories today. I am strengthened by them, and I am encouraged by your humanity and strength. And God bless you. We're adjourned.
That was a lot. That was a lot. I think this is our second longest show we've ever done. Okay, so kind of like Stephen Stearns, anybody that puts money on his books, 20% comes off the top. 20% off the top. So he gets commissary, but 20% comes off the top and is payable to victims' families and to pay back the, well, he's got a long life to live. Shit, what is he, 30 years old? Yeah, what is he, 30 years old? They all get fat and healthy when they're in jail. I mean, think about it. All you have to do is lay on your ass and take a shower and see the sunshine 1 hour a day. That's all you got to do. That's all you have to do. So just like Stephen Stearns, and I had a couple of crazy people that kept arguing, going, oh, look, I told you they get to appeal. You know, good old Alicia P., who thinks she's some Supreme Court justice, and she's like, I knew he would get to appeal. That is normal. Now, what are you doing? Kat, girlfriend, I should be doing things for you. Just because you got an Oklahoma City Thunder t-shirt doesn't mean you need to be coming here dropping moolah. Love you, Kat. Love you. The book is closed. It is done. And I loved what the judge said. Now, you know what? He can sit and spin and get out of everyone's face. Let's take a minute to remember the victims, if you don't mind. Yep, I'm going to play some Ozzy, okay? Because he passed away yesterday, and the song just makes sense.
I could be right, I could be wrong. It hurts so bad, it means all along.